Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, Papa Pacelli, and my other co-host, the Geezette, Netter of Netters Network. Welcome.
Good evening.
Both of us with our mouths full of fresh banana bread.
Isn't that lovely? I have some lemonade. I don't have no banana bread.
There we go.
Anyway, welcome everybody to another week. And I kept thinking we'd have nothing to talk about, but I feel that people that run companies in suits just create things for us to talk about.
Absolutely.
Start messing with things when there's
That
no
we
need to mess with
loved.
them. Ma- We'll get into that soon enough. Anyway, welcome everybody. Hello, geezers. Have a great show. Hope everyone is happy week. Well, thank you, Big Al.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good to see him. There we have Netter of Netters Network. Thank you. And Usarn G, welcome. Connie Cleary, welcome. I should probably open up my own YouTube channel, shouldn't I? I should have done that. Hold on. Connie Cleary, in case we get any agate busters in the chat tonight.
There you go.
So anyway, how's your weekend been going? You been busy?
I have been busy, but not in anything like a bad way. Netter's been very busy too. You want to share about any of that?
Oh, you mean me cleaning out the shed today?
Yeah. Big wolf spider you were chasing around
Oh,
too.
yeah, it was funny. So I'm not afraid of spiders. I know a lot of women are, but I'm not.
In fact, she's quite protective of them. She
I
won't
won't.
let me kill them. She has to capture them and set them outside safely.
Yes, because well, one, I don't want bug guts on the wall
That's
or the
fair.
floor, and then I got to clean that up. So I capture them, put them outside. No muss, no fuss.
Right.
So it's this huge wolf spider. I mean, this thing had to have been from the tip of my finger to my first knuckle.
Yeah.
So look at your hand, and that's how big this thing was. It was huge. And so I'm sweeping the floor on the left side of the shed, and it starts running like out into the open. And I was like trying to scooch it out so that it was like in the grass and going somewhere else. And instead, it's trying to run further in. And I kept trying to get it out. It kept running further in. Finally, it dashed behind something, and I couldn't get it. I'm like, okay, just so you know, dude, I am going to be moving that container in a bit, and you're going to have to move again. Why don't you just leave and come back later? I'm actually talking to the spider. Yes, I do that.
And did it work?
So as I'm pulling different things out, the spider's getting spastic again, going, crap, she found me! And it's running around again. Finally, it ducked underneath the lawnmower, and I'm like, okay, you can stay there. I'm not moving the lawnmower. But I mean, I must have been chasing this thing around the shed, like well, not chasing it, but like every time I move something, I'd start to sweep. It would suddenly be there going, like, it found me! Until it finally ran underneath the lawnmower, and I'm like, yeah, just stay there. I'm not moving that. And it stayed on there until I finished. I didn't see it afterwards, so it's like,
It
you'll
was
find it coming again.
scared.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. And she really goes out of her way to try to preserve
I
those
was trying to
little
get it
guys.
outside because there was another spider that was on a container I brought out because there were spider webs like everywhere in the shed. And so I pulled out another container to, kind of clean it off. And there's a little spider on there. And I'm like, well, come on. And I got it onto my glove, got it over to a tree that's in our yard and let it go on there. And it's like, okay, go do your thing now.
She was being a hard-working country girl today.
Yep, and then I made banana bread. Two
And
loaves.
she made banana bread.
I'm waiting for it to cool so I can cut a bigger piece because right now it's too soft because it's too hot. So it's falling apart when I try to cut it.
I tried bread pudding this week.
Oh,
What'd you
that's good
think?
too.
It's an English dessert. I didn't realize it was hard.
Yeah, pudding as in like almost like a cake. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's. I would try it again. Yeah. So, but yeah, down here in Florida, we have spiders called the brown. We have a spider called the brown recluse.
Yeah, we got those too.
Yep.
Yeah, those are
Yep.
nasty. All right,
They're,
let's
they're
go.
nasty if you get bit by them. They're not terribly aggressive.
That's true. All right, you want to bring up the presentation?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about
Let's do
that.
that.
There we go.
Geeky Geezers, welcome everybody. Love banana bread and bread pudding. Yeah. I love banana pudding myself, but that's just me.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about the good old days. And
About the good old days.
let's just get into it. Cracker Barrel.
Yep, I remember Cracker Barrel. I used to really, really enjoy it.
For those of you who are not living in the United States, you probably don't have these in Europe or anyone else around the world is listening. Okay.
Right.
Cracker Barrel is, the name says itself, old country store. Okay. You have
Right.
this gentleman, country folk sitting by a barrel, and there it is, Cracker Barrel. I always assumed there were crackers in the barrel, unless the cracker refers to the gentleman sitting next to the barrel. If that's
I
a
doubt
Florida
it.
thing.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think that's what they were going for. That's probably the thought now. But here's the other thing. So think about country general store, right? Even if you're outside the United States, you've probably seen westerns. You've probably seen the show Little House on the Prairie, right? This idea of out in the country,
Yes.
going to the
General
the
store.
turn of the century version of Walmart, right, where you could literally go and get everything. There would be certain preserved and dried foods. There would be textiles. There would be tools. There would be all the things you generally couldn't make for yourself at your farm.
Jelly
right?
beans.
Jelly beans, yeah, that stuff could have been considered pretty exotic back in the day. Well, these historical things from the 1800s and early 1900s, that sort of a general store still exists to this day in some parts of the United States.
Yes.
That just have a much more simple life. And the Cracker Barrel was sort of a franchising of that whole mindset, somewhere between a real country general store and more of a commercialized kind of thing that you'd see in an amusement park type of thing, like
Sort of in between,
Frontierland in Disney or something.
because I don't want to call it inauthentic, but it's not an actual general store like it always, but it's our closest modern equivalent. I mean, basically, it's a love letter to it. I'll put it to that way. And
Exactly.
for the weary traveler on the road, and you just want to go someplace and have some good down home cooking and maybe browse in the shop, it was a nice respite while you're on these long trips. If you do a lot of driving on vacations, you would see the Cracker Barrel, and they had a very wide menu. They had breakfast items, lunch, and dinner, and usually there was something on the menu for everybody. And
you had your choice. If you were, like for me, most of the times I encountered Cracker Barrel was driving between Chicago and Mansfield, Ohio. So literally when you're on these interstates, there's all these rest areas. There's all these exits to these rest stops that were really just, shops and restaurants and gas stations right there around the expressway.
Yeah.
And you had your choice basically of going to, all the fast food places or to someplace like this, where you could sit down in a restaurant, take your time, have a nice effectively a home cooked meal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe relax, literally relax. You could sit on those rocking chairs outside, buy yourself some nice little treats here in the shop.
I got one of those rocking chairs for a Christmas present one year.
Did you
I think
really?
I still
That's
have
cool.
it.
That's
yeah.
cool.
And because you can buy them too if you'd rather to, and that's what the restaurant typically looks like. That's the old restaurant, right? Not the.
Well, right, and remember,
kind of darkly lit if you're there at night. If it's cold out, they'll actually put the fire on for you. It's rather cool. You have to be there on a cold day, though.
Exactly right, and it does have that very Western style look to it, or Southern style look to it.
Southern Western, like you're out, like you're out in the middle of nowhere, and here's your bit of civilization pounding.
They did have those gas looking lamps. They were actually electrical lights, but they looked like gas lamps.
Yeah.
And what's really crucial here is a lot of tables and chairs. A lot of tables and chairs and fewer booths. Why?
Booths, yeah.
Because they look at, there is some empty space that they could move more in, they could get more people in, they could spread them out a little bit if it was going to be less crowded, whatever the case is.
This is the first place I ever had what we always call SOS, shite on a shingle.
Right.
But
Biscuits and
the
gravy.
gravy is so good. I don't know how they make the gravy, but there is something about the gravy that I really like.
You'll like it
And
because it's not the typical sausage gravy. I think they call it sawmill gravy, so it's not doesn't have
right.
those little pieces of sausage floating about in it. That's probably why you like it more than like say the regular biscuits and
And the
gravy.
other
Yeah,
key here is that you could move tables together if you had a big
of
party.
course, big
Instead
parties.
of
You know,
having
big parties at
everyone all
those times.
separated out,
Bring a big
kind of a
family in there.
community kind of thing,
Yeah.
Um,
And all sorts of cool junk on the walls, usually from yesteryear. Those old photos where everybody looks stern into the
yeah,
into the
exactly.
photo.
Well, because it's hard to hold a
A
smile for
smile.
as long
Can't
as you
do it.
had to sit for the exposure. You'd have to expose those. It started out with tintypes, and the photoreactive chemicals were not that great. You literally had to sit still, very still, for almost a minute. Netter and I have a tintype of ourselves in our Victorian wear, so
Oh,
we
super
know what it's
cool.
like. Yeah.
So here we go. Different menu items. I bring up the chicken and dumplings as this was the first thing I ever ate at a
The
Cracker
chicken and
Barrel
dumplings was pretty good, yeah.
because I'm looking at the menu like, what is all this stuff? And I got chicken and dumplings, and it's funny because in my household, my mom hates dumplings, so I would never get them at home because when she was growing up, parents of English and Irish descent, a lot of dumplings in their food, and she hated dumplings, so I never
Yeah.
ate that growing up. So, but I think it's fine. This is good wholesome food. You get sides over on the right of the fried apples. That's some fresh corn there. Don't know
Yep.
what that is on the left, but. Yeah, and you get sides with your meals. If you want to get a big meal, and the reason I'm bringing up good old days is some of these items are no longer available. That's why I'm bringing this up.
True.
This isn't even an actual picture, but it's an approximation of someone trying to make what one was, which is the grilled chicken tenderloin sandwich. These have an
Oh,
extensive sandwich menu at Cracker Barrel. Let's say you didn't want to get a big meal. You just wanted a sandwich and a cup of soup, or a sandwich and some steak fries. You could get that. And this is the grilled chicken tenderloin sandwich. This
looks
was
pretty
very
good.
nice. They had other sandwiches. They had a pork barbecue sandwich I liked a lot. They had let me see. Let me
Well,
get,
there
hold
you
on.
go,
Oh,
chocolate
well,
fondue.
I'll get to the other one in a minute. But there's
Yeah.
you can get desserts at Cracker Barrel. This is a frozen mug sundae. Did you ever get one of these?
No, I didn't. Because I'll be honest with you, they would give you the fried apples as a
Yes,
side dish. To
and
me,
use
that
as a
was a
dessert.
dessert. I couldn't have another dessert on top of that.
If you get the biscuits, you can ask for jam, and you can make that your dessert too.
Well, there you
know?
go. True. Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I used to get these frozen mug sundaes, and I just want you to look down here. Look at the price.
Oh yeah.
$3.29. You'd be lucky if you can get a dessert at McDonald's, like
And
a
given a
McFlurry for
choice on that, yeah, I'd have
$3.29.
probably gone with the fruit cobbler instead. That's oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that comes with
Yeah.
like the crust on top. The peach. I think they
Mm-hmm.
still have the peach cobbler there, but no, I mean that's a cheap dessert too,
Yep.
especially for
Yep.
restaurants. They can have great desserts, but they're not cheap. In fact,
Yep.
what is they always say? Restaurants, what do they make their money on? They make their money off the drinks and the desserts, but
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the appetizers, not necessarily the main courses people order. Um, but I remember they used to have a barbecue chicken sandwich with bacon. Yeah, I mean they would have seasonal items that they'd bring on and switch out, or items they try out and then not bring back. Oh, I did want to say hi. We got more members of the chat. Jessica Hardo, Geek Flag, Deleted Scenes. I think we're getting a drop from his channel too. So welcome everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, we actually also miss Zetopia,
Topia, welcome.
Lester Skeptic, Tank Obsessions. I think you said hi to Nate, right? And
Yes.
Daniel Berry's Sports Highlights. Welcome everybody. Booger, I see you there too.
Yes, Boomer. I remember those frozen mug sundaes. Yes, you get those. They even had frozen mug milkshakes, and then they got rid of them, and then they just had the sundaes. And you know what? They don't show it here, but you know what else it comes with? Toasted almonds.
Oh, nice.
Almonds on a Sunday. There's nothing better. I mean, this is just amazing. But this is the chicken salad sandwich. This was another mainstay. They at some point though, I think it was the last decade, they nixed most of the sandwich menu. They now have a couple sandwiches. They have burgers, and you get like a chicken sandwich there. But They got rid of their whole sandwich menu, nice extensive menu, and this is why I'm talking about this as the good old days, because I feel like over time Cracker Barrel has limited the menu. Have they
Yeah.
limited it so much that I wrote the restaurant off? No, but I get annoyed when they get rid of stuff. But what can you do? This is the chicken fried steak. They do still have this. I wanted to get a picture of what was known as back in the day the chicken fried chicken, which was not what they have now, which is the home style chicken, which they just pour gravy on top of. The chicken
Mhm.
fried chicken was a nice flat fillet with with that sauce they put on the biscuits and gravy, and it
Right.
was very good. And they got rid of it. Down the corner there's breaded fried okra.
That's the only way I can possibly eat okra too.
It's known as the popcorn of the South.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure, I
Turn on
can
the lights,
see
but I'll
that.
listen
Fine.
till I drift off. Thank you, Lynn Green. You can dream of Cracker Barrel or what was
There you
once
go.
was while we hunt for our new Cracker Barrel, because it ain't. We'll get into that in a minute. I think Topia was talking about it. We're going to get into that. This right here, I don't know who this gentleman is, but he's about to dine on some haddock. They used to have haddock. Started out as a seasonal, and then they brought it on as a permanent item. Then they got rid of it. Had a cornmeal crust.
Do you know why they got rid of it?
Why?
Because the availability of haddock became very, very difficult. Fishing laws around the United States changed, and that's why whenever you go to get fish of any kind, it's always going to be that orange roughy stuff. It's they're starting to lighten up the fishing laws around
That or salmon, which I'm not fond
well,
of.
salmon is salmon, but I mean the general fish. It's going to be that orange roughy, and I'm just saying, under the current administration, those laws are starting to loosen up, so you might get to see more of those kinds of
haddock
fish again.
back, and it was reasonable. That's the thing about Cracker Barrel; all the prices were very reasonable. I think they've gone up since the old days, but even this haddock, I don't think it was over 15. I mean, this is, and they got sides with it too. I don't know how you can cook it. I can't eat it. It's okay if you don't like okra. They got plenty of other sides there. Their steak fries are actually very good.
Yes.
Some of
Yes,
the
they
better
are.
chain fries. There's an example. This is actually an example of a special they currently have on the menu now. I was looking for the pork barbecue. They don't have that, but if you go there Saturday night, you can get St. Louis style ribs.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
like different days of the week, they have different specials. So, like I say, this is breaking my heart. You know what's coming, people.
I know.
See, when I wanted something savory, I think Cracker Barrel, because to me that was those down home savory food.
Yes.
So
and filling.
We've talked about Southern foods and this Florida boy and his biscuits and gravy and whatnot, and Bob Evans and whatnot. But that's the nice thing about Cracker Barrel. It's not biscuits and gravy with every single dish. They had a great variety. I saw somebody mention something about a bacon cheddar burger that was really good.
I think they might still have that too. Yeah.
And you could go with the fries, or you could go with you had your really country type things. You had your more northern midwestern type foods. They had a good variety. Wherever you were from in the United States, there was something on the menu from the small town just outside your city.
And they were consistent in their menus.
That's true.
So you didn't go to one and you can get, like, I don't know, Cajun shrimp or something, but if you went to another one, you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
They all had
If it was
the
on
same
the menu, it was on the menu all over the place.
Yeah, their fried shrimp is if you're into fried shrimp, like if you're like a seafood, like let's say you're at the family, like I want to go to a seafood place, go here, get the fried shrimp. They give you a ton of fried shrimp, and they give you fries, and that's just not without the two sides. You get two more sides with that.
Yep.
But what I made in Cracker Barrel is it felt like I tasted you were eating somebody's grandmother's cooking. Yes, exactly. That's the point. Because everything was fresh. Like I went in there a couple weekends ago, and because their Sunday special was a chicken pot pie. I was getting a chicken pot pie to go, and they were going to check because that's all made fresh. Like they're going to have a big thing of pot pie. If they run out, they run out. That's what happens. But try the cracker hot cake plate was really good. Oh, that's interesting. See, you mean the? I see what you're saying. We're gonna get to breakfast in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's I didn't usually get. Did I have breakfasts there? I must have done. I don't remember.
By the way, around Christmas time, you can get this there, and this is
Country
the
fried
country
turkey.
fried turkey. And I do like this, though I got angry at them last couple of years because when they brought it back, nope. They used to serve it with green bean casserole.
I
And then
see
what
it.
happened?
Yeah.
And people are like, "What's that? Green bean casserole? I don't know what that is. Can I get something else?" Okay, and that's probably what happened. Okay, we'll just get rid of the green bean casserole. I liked the green bean casserole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Don't mess with Boomer's green bean casserole.
That's right. That's right.
all right. So here we go. Moving on to. This was actually gone for a while, but they brought it back over the summer. They have campfire chicken and campfire beef. They actually serve it into a big thing of foil. It's been over, I guess, a literal fire. They're cooking it for you. Okay. I did get this once over the summer. Campfire beef, very good, very savory. Like you said, that's a chuck roast they put in there.
Those vegetables look really good.
Tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, and corn. Look at that, huh?
Nice.
And that's the thing. It's like good old down. You know what this represents to me? It represents America.
Yeah.
That's what this restaurant represents to me. The not like the not city part. Like when you're out there. Like I did a trip cross country once, and I was like, you're terrified when you're driving cross country. You don't see anything. And then at one point we did see a Cracker Barrel, and it's like this oasis in the middle of nowhere, and you can go in there and just have a good meal and just feel comfortable for an hour and before you go back on the road, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring back the green bean casserole. I people don't know what they're missing. That's the thing. You know, what restaurant would serve green bean casserole? I love the turkey with a side of mac and cheese. Yeah, you can get turkey there. Oh, you mean the fried turkey? They also have a turkey special there Thursdays. And you think I'm singing their praises now, and I am, except we had some news this week we're going to get into though. What the heck is that? Oh, this is the Sunday home style chicken. I have praises and a rant with this. This used to only be on Sundays. It became so popular you can get it every day of the week now. For a while, it was the pot roast was on Sundays after that, but then the pot roast became popular, so now it's the pot pies on Sundays. But my problem with this is I felt like Cracker Barrel was using this as a baseline for all their chicken dishes. Like they used to have really good chicken tenders here, you know. The kids like to call them chicken tendies, you know, chicken fingers. And they were nice, flat, not a ton of breading. But I think because this became so popular, they started making their chicken fingers like this and too much breading.
Yeah.
I don't like chicken tenders.
The smaller the cut of chicken, the more the breading can kind of overwhelm, yeah.
And it's not as good.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Yes. But moving on to... and they're the breakfast. So you're more of a breakfast guy, is that right?
I do like breakfast, but you know, I probably, if I was getting breakfast at Cracker Barrel, it was probably something pretty traditional. You know, eggs, bacon, you know, sausage, biscuit on the side with no gravy. That's just me, you know.
Well, you don't have to though. They don't pour it over for you. They'll give you the side of the biscuits, and not all the breakfast.
I think that's what I liked about it. That was the comparison I was making to Bob Evans. You know, you'd have
you could switch out the side, like they say biscuits and gravy, or you can get fried apples. That's like you know, or something else. You know, and I know you like the fried apples there. You know, I never had breakfast at a Cracker Barrel, only dinner. Their breakfasts aren't bad. You can actually get chicken fried steak for breakfast. Also, they give you 2 eggs with it. You know,
welcome the View with Drew and Somar. Good to see you today.
Welcome.
That looks like, is that some sort of a banana inside a crepe or something?
Possibly, it could be a seasonal thing because they do have seasonal meals too. Like I said, over the summer they brought back the campfire chicken and the campfire beef. This fall, the seasonal meal is some kind of stupid half chicken citrus roasted baked thing. I don't know what it is. It looks dumb. There, I said it. Because a lot about modern Cracker Barrel right now is looking dumb to me. But anyway, I'm fine. Do they have the pies? They usually bring out the pies in the fall too, which is like you get a pie and a scoop of ice cream for dessert.
Yeah.
But so that's Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, though, you can go into the store afterwards. If it's around Christmas time, they got Christmas items out to purchase, or like now they have the Halloween stuff out. So you know, you walk by and like this coffin's like screaming at you. I'm like, what is going on here? You know, it's like,
Zootopia, welcome. Good to see you.
And it's just sad though. But as I've said, one thing that's gotten me angry about Cracker Barrel over the years is that they continue to reduce the menu. sometimes we'll bring on items. I don't know why they're putting them on the menu. They don't really seem like the country fare. And now, but did it ever get to the point where I wrote them off completely? No. But now I'm kind of there. Because we got to talk about not the good old days, but the modern days. Troy, I didn't know the name of the.
Says, yeah, I didn't remember the name of the plate. I remember ordering a big breakfast one time. It had hotcakes, eggs, bacon, toast, hash brown. I'll bet you it was called something like the Big Country Breakfast, and that sounds exactly like what I probably got every time.
Yeah, they also used to have Uncle Herschel's favorite. I used to get that. I think of Herschel from Walking Dead when I heard that name.
Sure. Big older guy with a beard, right?
Yeah, of course he was a farmer guy too. So here we are. Now we got to talk about the modern days. Anything left to say about Cracker Barrel?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss them.
Well, unless they
cheese.
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel updates menu decor. Some miss the country charm. Now this was from a month ago, which I didn't even know this was going on, because of course more news has come out this week spotlighting all this nonsense.
Yep.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel all country store restaurants are known for a certain aesthetic, walls lined with antiques and tools, home-style cooking, and signature peg game. But the chain is nearly a year into a 3-year transformation in an effort to appeal to more diners. Along with refreshing its restaurants with brighter, more modern feel, the changes include updating the menu and simplifying cooking processes for green beans, bacon, and other eats. The trick will be keeping Cracker Barrel loyalists who prefer the country feel, a view some are making known on social media, while bringing in new customers, a particularly tall order for as American consumers are feeling rattled by tariff changes and renewed fears of recession. You can tell this is an older article.
And you can also tell there's a strong bias here too.
Yeah.
Talking about things that have absolutely nothing to do with it, but
I think this is Wall Street Journal.
Yes. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cracker Barrel executives think diners will come into the chain hits the right mix of value, convenience, quality food, and service, and a welcoming atmosphere. We're working on all those, said financial chief Craig Promos. You already had that. Had that.
Yep. That's exactly what they did have.
So far, Cracker Barrel customers and employees have generally responded well to the changes. Yeah, the employees are going to respond well. They don't want to get fired, which are in various phases of implementation. Same-store restaurant sales have been positive for 3 consecutive quarters, up 4.7% for 3 months, ended January 31st compared to a year earlier. Guest traffic, however, fell, dropping 2.7% in the latest period, but has improved since the transformation plan was announced a year ago. Cracker Barrel executives talk about selling more food in terms of reaching quote-unquote new customers, which analysts interpret meaning younger and higher income. The chain doesn't regularly disclose the specific age of its diners, but executives over the past few years have said that its so-called traditionalist customer, the 65-plus group, has been slow to return to in-person dining since the pandemic. No, well, not in Florida they weren't, because we didn't shut down.
Right.
The chain,
not to mention that your older demographics do tend to not return because they're not around anymore. It happens.
Well, there is that too. Maybe they had too much of your grits, huh? Maybe that's what did them in. No, I'm kidding.
Could be.
I don't usually get the grits. There you go. There's my southern thing I'm not so fond of are grits. Yeah. I don't hate them, but I'm like, what's the point? It's like mushy rice. Okay. The chain wants both age groups and the ones in between to spend a southern fried chicken, biscuits, and other menu offerings. An executive sees sprucing up the restaurants with lighter paint and fewer antiques on the wall as one way to do that. This is what I don't understand. Young people, they seem to like traditional things.
Yes.
They long for the good old days too. At least I think the Gen Z demographic.
And we are going to be talking more about that when we get into our gaming section too.
Bring that up. Oh my goodness! In March, the company said the first 4 remodel locations were collectively seeing a lift. Look at what it looks like now compared to what it looked like. Do you like it?
No. Everyone's saying,
it
looks like so much brighter, so much cleaner, and I'm like.
It looks generic.
It looks generic, yeah. It looks like every other place. This is a truism of business. Wall Street Journal, you used to understand the business world. Now all you understand is wokosity. You want your business to be different. You want to be able to cater to the needs of a general audience, but you need an aesthetic that stands out. You need a business model that's different. That is how you succeed. If your business becomes just like every other restaurant now, you're going to lose business. But we'll get into that.
Cracker Barrel aims to finish remodeling 25 to 30 of its roughly 660 restaurants, while refreshing another 25 to 30 locations by this summer. I have advice for you: stay out of Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. Geek Flag says the person probably didn't make the grits right. Okay, Geek Flag, I will give them another try sometime. All right. I promise. I'll make that promise to you. All right.
Grits are a thinner American country version of Italian polenta. So I don't mind it. It's not my favorite thing, but I never really did mind it too much.
Okay, so not all customers are impressed, and some are airing their complaints about the loss of original design on social media. When Cracker Barrel took away the last piece of nostalgia you had left, one woman posted it in a TikTok last month as she walked through the updated location. The post has racked up thousands of comments, many of which prefer the original restaurant design. Because it's nostalgic, and because it's such an old brand, it means very specific things to different people, there may be pushback, said Jake Bartlett, a senior equity research analyst at Trust Securities. That's why they have to be careful. Cracker Barrel is working to alleviate any concerns about the makeovers. We know change can be bittersweet, the chain posted in response to a TikTok post. While a few things may look different, we're not changing who we are, just shining things up a bit. I don't want things to be shined up a bit. It's supposed to look old. The early restaurant overhauls serve as a test of what customers like and where future revamps can be improved, said Palmos. The company hasn't disclosed specifics on how the updated locations are performing relative to those who haven't yet seen a retouch. Yeah, you don't want to say how they're doing. Okay, so Cracker Barrel's giving diner options on price too, from pancakes for less than $8 to steak and shrimp for around $23. I think they are trying to broaden it so there's more of a selection, so you're not pigeonholing yourselves to, I want to go eat hearty, said Benchmark. Okay, so one hurdle is, okay, they bring up the tariffs again. Another is consumers' gloomy mood in the economy. Executives at companies catering to consumers are watching closely to see how recession anxiety and tariff threats affecting. Cracker Barrel executives say the company is well positioned for an environment of stretched consumers. Cracker Barrel diner on average spends $15 compared with $18 at other family dining locations and $28.
I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal, but you're ignoring the actual realities of the economy again. You are manipulating numbers to make them look bad when everybody knows they have more buying power over in the past 6 months than they did for the past 6 years.
Yeah. Well, this was an older article, too. Troy, I love Cracker Barrel, but the sad part is that there's no Cracker Barrel restaurant in my town. I have to go to San Antonio to fix a good country food. Yeah, well,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Big deal. McDonald's has pancakes for less than $8. It doesn't make them good. Well, again, yeah. I mean, I don't. Pancakes shouldn't be expensive. That's the point. I mean, you can go to IHOP or Perkins and get pancakes for a lot of money. Let's go to the next article, though. This was the news that broke this week, though. But I wanted to bring it up because this article was mentioned when it was this new article. There, you got your new logo. You like it?
This is what you call minimalism, and just do a little research between minimalism, the relationship between minimalism and Marxism. Just Google it up a little bit and go down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
This is a horrible logo. Someone got paid money to make this, or someone fed it into some AI algorithm. I don't know what happened here. Even
it reminds me of the generic aisle in the grocery stores.
On the can, it says beef, corn, whatever.
The other thing was iconic, and frankly, if you're going to get rid of the other, you should have changed the color, because I do not like the color it's up against now. They changed the lettering. The lettering is different.
I'm actually surprised they're still calling it Cracker Barrel. I'm surprised it didn't become CB or something like that.
CB.
Yeah.
CB. Yeah. Okay.
Kind of like how Kentucky Fried Chicken became KFC.
Cracker Barrel have to compete with IHOP and Denny's. Yes, I know. I mean, the thing is, I don't usually get pancakes at Cracker Barrel, so it's not really a thing.
Yeah, but you don't compete with them by becoming them. it becomes a question of, well, you know what, this one is on this side of the road, so I'm going to go to this one, as opposed to I will cross the road to go to Cracker Barrel rather than to go to IHOP or Denny's because that's what I want.
Or I could just go to Bob Evans and get the double meat breakfast that
Well, you'll
comes
be
with
all alone
pancakes.
there, Boomer.
No biscuits and gravy with that breakfast. It's just hash
Okay.
brown
I
and
happen to
eggs.
like Bob Evans. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but you always avoid the biscuits
They
and gravy.
don't put. They
No,
only put. They put biscuits and
I
gravy
avoid
with.
Denny's because
Well,
Denny's makes me sick every time I've ever eaten there.
Well, when you have everything covered in a fine spray of grease, and it was something that wasn't prepared in grease, yeah, you kind of have a bit of a problem there.
I'm old enough to remember No Frills products, white labels, plain black block letters. Very Darwin initiative. I remember. Yeah, that was from Law. That's a reference to Laws. I remember No
Lost,
Frills branded stuff on things. Oh, my dad used to buy the No Frills cola. Word of advice: if you're going to buy generic soda like the store brand or something, get either the grape soda or the root beer. Because those are harder to mess up. Don't get like cola.
I've always said that there's nothing wrong with most generic brands. However, there are some times where you get it and you just don't like it. You are not saving money by not liking the product.
Don't get a no brand cola. People are particular with their cola. People are either Coke or they're Pepsi, and there are some people out there that swear by RC. So I'm not trying to take that away from them either. But this is a horrible logo. Okay, so here we go. Cracker Barrel loses almost $100 million in value as stock plunges after new logo release, because this is what we call the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
I think people like me, they've been steadily doing things that have bothered us, but we let it go because we say, is it enough to make me write the brand off? And then they do this, and like, I'm done. You keep pushing your you see what happens is you're chasing your quote unquote new audience, or in this case your new restaurateur, and you're trying to keep the old one happy, but then you're so focused on chasing this mythical new customer, you forget about your old customer, and now the old customer is pissed. Cracker Barrel shed almost $100 million in market value Thursday after its stock plunged following the release of a new logo. The new design eliminates a long-standing drawing for an overall clad man leading against a barrel in favor of a cleaner logo featuring just the chain's name. Shares of Cracker Barrel fell $4.22, or 7.2% to $54.80 in Thursday trading, shedding $94 million in market value. The stock had dipped to a low of $50.27 earlier in the day, representing a loss of almost $200 million in its capitalization. Cracker Barrel shares gained in early trading Friday, but resumed their slide later in the day. The stock closed down 40 cents to less than 1%. Okay, Wall Street's reaction to the logo redesign comes as Cracker Barrel has been working to refresh its image through new menu items and redecorated stores that eschew the 55-year-old chain's old-timey approach in favor of a more modern look. According to the company's website, the man and barrel and the old logo represented the old country store experience where folks would gather around and share stories. Yeah, because that's horrible. Folks gathering around and sharing stories. Let's forget about that. It's unusual for a company's share price to plunge dramatically due to a logo redesign. Although, it doesn't help the fact that the new logo is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, if it was an actual good new logo, like if it had, it wouldn't be great, but it would still be better. Like, they just took everything that looked interesting at the old logo and just, okay, it's unusual. Okay, so Cracker Barrel overall has been overseen by CEO Julie Massino, who last year described the chain as not as relevant as we once were and announced plans to update its down-home menu. In a statement to CBS News, Cracker Barrel said the man portrayed in the logo, known as Uncle Herschel, will remain front and center in our restaurants and on our menu. Our values haven't changed, and the heart and soul Cracker Barrel haven't changed. But we are going to get rid of Uncle Herschel's breakfast. I'm kidding. Just the new logo, which will appear on menus and marketing materials, is now rooted even more closely to the iconic barrel shape and wood mark that started all, the company said in August 18th press release. I'm not seeing a barrel there.
I don't
Is that
either.
a barrel shape?
No, it's a rounded off octagon.
This is ridiculous.
Hexagon.
It kind of looks like a cheese cracker. That's it.
Well, maybe.
That's the thing. It doesn't. Conservative commentators took issue with the rebrand, with right-wing podcaster Matt Walsh calling it more generic on social media. Marketing experts also criticized the company's overall. Many of the criticisms took on a political tone, with some social media commenters describing the new design as woke. Now, I don't know. Do we see this as a woke thing? I think we're
no.
so on. We go ahead.
So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on since this article came out, and a lot of stuff that's been coming out on social media. And there are a lot of people inside Cracker Barrel that are starting to speak out. This branding and the shift is very clearly, in and of itself, not what you'd call woke, but it is absolutely minimalist, which should get your Marxism alarm bells ringing. but the wokeism is coming from inside, people that work for the company starting to talk about the safe spaces and the all of that kind of stuff, the pro alphabet community stuff going on, and it's a corporate environment like what we've seen at so many other companies. But I also wanted to point out something and kind of ask you guys to look at it a little bit differently. Think of it as a bit of a mini hush-hush. What is a hush-hush? Off the record, on the QT, and very, very hush-hush, right? Not necessarily what's actually happening, but a possible perspective I'd like you to consider. Nate says, these idiots make these decisions not realizing that these changes drive away their customers that have been coming to them for years, and their kids come to them. These idiots know exactly what they're doing. That is not a bug, that is a feature, if my theory is correct. What? They're going to lose their regulars? Yes, that is the intent. I predict that their goal is to drive the business away so much that they devalue the business, that they will either declare bankruptcy or just go out of business and sell off the land. This is about a land deal, if my theory is correct. So, Cracker Barrel owns some of the most valuable roadside real estate in the U.S., and there's a lot of it. Look at a map that shows all of the Cracker Barrels around the country, and you will realize just how much land they own. That land is worth more than the business itself. A lot more. So when I bring that up, you got to ask, well, assuming my theory is correct, cui bono? Right? Who benefits? BlackRock, the Vanguard Group, GMT Capital, Alliance Bernstein, and activist investors like Big Laurie Holdings.
Great.
That's what this is all about, guys. It's not just about, them going and Bud Lighting themselves. They're Bud Lighting themselves on purpose. They've seen it happen, and yeah, they maybe this girl is making political statements and woke statements and whatnot, and she really believes all that stuff. But I think that it's something else entirely.
And what will these companies do with the land then?
Well, you ask yourself what's been happening with the land that's been bought up by, foreign agents, and that's been acquired by the government, and farmland that's being taken from the local farmers. I mean, just pay very close attention to what's happening with private and unclaimed lands in the United States.
Okay. Well, your theory does make sense, actually. I'll say that. Because none of this makes sense. Why are you getting rid of something that's working? Mm-hmm. It's working. Mm-hmm. Cracker Barrel works. It's been working for decades now. People like going there. They like the menu. Families, anyone can go.
Again, Jesse, you've got to get it out of your head that they care about the business. They don't. Remember, the people buying this land, not only want to own the land, they want to own you. They want to control you and to how much extent you travel. They don't want you to gas up. They want you to stay in your 15-minute communities.
Think about it. This was a major part of going on the road.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And they don't like that. They don't like you being able to travel. They don't like you being able to leave the state that has been, become modern neo-Marxist leftist and move to a state that's...
also, where are these restaurants really located? They're located in the heartland.
Yep.
South in the heartland. I mean, I'm sure they exist maybe up north. In fact, it'd be great if they exist up north. It'd be a nice respite from the city. But okay, what you say makes sense. It's sick. It's very sick. It's very, in my opinion, anti-American. So what do we do
Tree
though?
Rock
If
Creations, he makes a great joke. Buc-ee's needs to change their name because people might be offended by who have buck teeth. Yeah.
I don't want to get too
Buc-ee's
excited.
is too well beloved. The only way that Buc-ee's is gonna go away is if somebody inherits the business.
No.
Some next generation, modern feminist that wants to sell. See, and I said this too.
You know what happens? This starts out as a family thing. And
Yeah.
the family cares because it's a family legacy thing,
right?
But then they bring that, but then they sell off, or they can't maintain it.
They either sell it
and
off,
and then
or
then some soulless CEOs take over that don't care.
It's either sold off or it's inherited by some young idiot Marxist that is spoiled by their family's money, or just doesn't care about their family legacy and is just greedy. I would argue that's probably the case with this gal. She like takes it and goes, I could spend the rest of my life trying to keep this business as profitable as possible, or I could sell it, or I could sell the land all right now and never have to work another day in my life.
Can't the shareholders revolt against this? Can't they say, knock it off?
Well, if the shareholders are BlackRock and Vanguard and all the other companies that I just mentioned, they're all for it and they're all behind it.
So the trick is we need to find out who the shareholders are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, it's usually going to be those big mutual funds.
Then it's
those
over.
Those of you with 401ks and whatnot, it's the companies that your investment dollars are all with. So there you go, my friends. I hate to throw water on you, but
well, a certain administration needs to get ahead of how these companies are getting involved with the government.
I agree.
Funds.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to this place overnight, and it can't be fixed overnight. Everyone was cheering when USAID got thrown out. But that's just a thimble out of the ocean.
Can I recommend another restaurant to people in the chat, especially if Cracker Barrel continues to go south?
This is funny because this is what Netter was alluding to too. So is Cracker Barrel a cheese company? This new logo is confusing. Yeah, it looks like it's a cheese company.
There is Cracker Barrel cheese that we have.
They do have country cheeses there, but that wasn't the big part of their business. So yeah.
Cheddar's is a chain. Now, they don't have the country style decor like Cracker Barrel has, but their menu, surprisingly, not really a breakfast menu there, but their dinner menu, it has some surprising similarities to Cracker Barrel. It's another one of these hearty meal places.
Yeah.
So, if Cracker Barrel goes downhill, maybe try patronizing them, see if you like them, okay? And their prices are reasonable.
I'll look into Cheddar's, and look, I hope, with all that I'm hearing about Steak and Shake, I hope they reverse many of the things that they've done in their business. I did a whole video talking about the lack of customer service and all the kiosks and stuff that I saw last time Netter and I went in there. Until that changes, they're no better. So even though they're roasting Cracker Barrel online right now.
There is no family member of Dan Evans left alive who owns any stock in Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel owns by shareholders. One of those many
Yeah.
shareholders is
There
Bud.
you go.
We
Then.
have our answer. I
Yep.
mean, we don't have proof, but this is a good theory. And yeah, okay, that really sucks. They really hate. They really hate regular Americans. They really do. I don't know why. It's almost something. Well, I'm not gonna. That's not. I'm gonna get off on a tangent here. Let's just let move on. Hopefully, Cracker Barrel turns around. But if Troy is right, then this is all planned. Shifting in the
Getting to
gaming
our
now.
gaming section, yeah, exactly. Which is just so much better and so full of such good news.
Well, I want to say that this article actually is good news, and I
Yeah,
was actually
yeah.
going to sing Sony's praises this week, and actually
But
give.
wait, we
We'll
got
have an
another
article
article on
later
Sony, yeah.
that's going to stop me from doing that. But original Resident Evil 2, and 3 are available on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. PlayStation Originals, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis are now available for purchase on the PlayStation Store, playable on PS4, PS5. As with other PlayStation classics, those who've purchased the classics previously, when available on PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Vita, are able to access the titles for free. Otherwise, they'll set you back $14.95 Australian. That's $9.99 in the United States. Okay. Also available is not just Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, or maybe they made this available a while ago. You can also get Resident Evil Director's Cut as well. And I want to say why I consider this to be a big deal. I'm a big fan of the original Resident Evil games.
Sure.
I liked how they were constructed. If I can describe them to you, Troy, they added action, but they also kept puzzle elements that reminded you a bit of PC adventure gaming.
Oh,
And basically,
nice.
you're stuck in this horrible mansion that's controlled by this evil corporation that's been doing experiments in bioweaponry. And of course, one of those bioweaponry are zombies. This is like Night of the Living Dead, the game. That's how I saw it.
Of course, yeah.
Back in the day. And you have limited ammo. There's nothing better than when your character is backing into a corner and there are like a couple zombies after you and you start shooting them and then your gun click because you're out of bullets.
Yeah, that's very realistic, but a great game mechanic, yeah.
And the cool thing about it is this was early on in the PlayStation's life cycle, so doing 3D environments on the original PlayStation was limited. They could do it, but it was limited. What they decided to go for the Resident Evil games originally, they had rendered environments, so every time your character would move around the screen, it was sort of 3D, but then the camera angle would shift, and you'd be in another part of the area or another part of the room. So you couldn't always see what was on screen. Like you'd hear like a shuffling in the background, and you had to go down the screen to get to the next part to see what was behind, out of view of your eye. Very creepy, very like a movie. Actually, these were very cool. And the trouble is, I bought these on the PlayStation 3 and also. Good old Sony, I'll give them points if you bought the PlayStation 3 on the PlayStation 3. You could also play them on your PlayStation Portable. They would let you download it so many times on your various PlayStation consoles. Like you could have one copy on your PlayStation 3, you could have another copy on your PlayStation Portable, you could have another copy on your PlayStation Vita. They had a whole line of PlayStation classics back in the PS3 era. The only trouble is these games, they didn't upscale so well on your HD TV. They look terrible. So I couldn't really play them. Oddly enough, the more old-fashioned 2D side-scrolling games they had on PlayStation looked a lot better than these more advanced games messing around with 3D mechanics and polygons. But the good news is these versions of the games look a lot better. They look fairly close to what you would see on your original PlayStation when you were playing it on an old cathode ray tube TV. And it brought back so many memories because if you have a PlayStation 4, you can get them on the PlayStation 4. And what's even better is since I bought these on the PlayStation 3, and since I still have that account, that username linked to my new account, I didn't have to pay any money for these games. They just gave them to me.
Nice.
No one does this hardly. I mean, Microsoft to some extent will do it because they have backwards compatibility between some of their Xbox consoles. Nintendo never does this. If you bought something on the Virtual Console, you're screwed. It's tied to that one system. But Sony, when they brought these back, if you had previously purchased it on an older console, they just gave it to you again for free. I like that. I probably would have paid for these again, but I appreciate the gesture by Sony saying, look, you already purchased these PlayStation Classics, and I can tell, Boomer, that you were disappointed how they looked, so we're just going to give you these new remasters, and we're not going to charge you for them. This is how companies should run things. This is how you treat your customer base. It's the little things that matter.
Yep. True.
We're going to get into the big things in a minute, which is why I'm not going to be saying Sony's praises in a minute. Original Resident Evil was an atmospheric game, felt very much like it pulled from those horror movies of the 80s. Yes, Resident Evil was I always used to argue video games were less about story and more about themes, even though there are stories in games. The
Sure.
theme of Resident Evil, of course, was modern B horror movies, like from the 80s or 70s. There are so many references in these games to horror movies I'd seen. There's a wonderful scene where they're in Resident Evil 2 where this reporter locks himself in one of the jail cells saying, I'm not leaving this jail cell, it's safer in here, blah, blah, which is a reference to a horror movie called The Beast Within, where they lock the evil scientist in this cell to protect him from the horrible monster. And of course, the monster still gets him even in the jail cell. Do you understand?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a callback to that. It's all these little callbacks. And one thing I can't stand is the DualShock on the controller. I hate it. Well, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's I think you can turn it off if you want. That was Sony competing with Nintendo's Rumble Pack. Went back in the day. Big fan of these games though, and I can finally play them. I mean, it's not a full-on remaster like those Tomb Raider remasters, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. And if this is all I get, it's enough. I still hope that Capcom goes to the trouble of doing full-on remasters of these games, like with giving you a choice of going between the old graphics and modern graphics. But as it stands, this is still pretty cool, and I'm glad they're available. And it allows me to revisit the good old days. Resident Evil was almost the topic for good old days this week, but I figured I'd do Cracker Barrel. But
there you go. That's fair.
If you own a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, you can play the classic Resident Evil games in that you remember from the PlayStation days, and they look good. If you own a PC, if you go on Good Old Days, you can get the Good Old Days. Sorry, not Good Old Days. Good Old Games. My mistake. Is another platform on PC, and they have the original Resident Evil games on there as well. Those are the PC ports from back in the day, though, that have been remastered for Good Old Games. So they're a little different than these PlayStation originals, but still worth picking up. All right, that's all. Moving on to the next article. Another classic game getting a remaster. See, one good thing about living nowadays is even though everything's falling apart, they're doing a lot of they're bringing out a lot of old games that people forgot about. Night Dive's latest remaster is a rip-roaring Wild West cult classic. During today's opening night live showcase for Gamescom, Night Dive Studios confirmed its latest release, Outlaws, plus a handful of missions remaster. Originally launched in 1997 and built with LucasArts' Jedi engine, Outlaws received positive acclaim for its soundtrack and gameplay, though gained some criticism for its somewhat lackluster visuals. Night Dive's remaster, much like its previous efforts, looks to revitalize the game for a modern era with twin-stick gameplay and gyro support included in the standard. This is a fascinating game. This was LucasArts' attempt to do a first-person shooter back in the day where Doom was big. Mm-hmm. And it has a great voice cast. Who played Q on Star Trek? Was it John Delancey?
John Delancey, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the villains in this game. He has a voice part. I think he plays a guy called the Doctor. But he doesn't really heal people. You know what I mean?
I would imagine not. Yeah.
And there's a great YouTube channel called Civvy, and he does a lot of he does a lot of coverage of boomer shooters, and he covered this one. And I think I mentioned to you in private, but they did he did a joke where it's like, I can't tell if this is a American Western or a spaghetti Western. He says, if it's an American Western, his wife is going to die, the marshal, right? If it's a spaghetti Western, everyone's going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like both bad. I still can't believe. Listen to me, Jessica Hardo. Don't get me started on EA. Where is my Burnout 3, the Takedown remaster? Let's buy up the company that owns Burnout and release a couple really great Burnout games and never touch the series again.
Yeah.
You know what Burnout had in it? It's a racing game, right? Yeah. It had something in it called Crash Mode.
Okay.
You know what you did in Crash Mode?
Crash?
You would crash your car and do your best to start like a 17 or 18 car pileup, and then you press a button, blow up your car, and explode all the other cars. It was about maximum damage, and you would get points for doing it.
Awesome!
Get Grand Theft Auto. I loved Burnout 3 on the PlayStation 2. Burnout 3. And when it had a regular racing mode too, in regular racing mode, if you got hit or crashed, you could maneuver Well, you go out, you could go in slow and maneuver your car so it had the worst crash imaginable during the race, and then you start over on a checkpoint. You got points for that. It encouraged you. It was a racing game based around crashing, which is what you want to do in a racing game, right? You want to crash your car. Yes. Sorry, I'm glad Outlaws is getting remastered. However, if I buy it, one company gets the profits. Disney, no thanks. I don't know what to tell you. You gotta vote with your own conscience, I guess. I do like Night Dive though; they're a great company. If you don't want to buy Outlaws though, you can show your support. They recently redid Hexen and Heretic for modern consoles, but they do good stuff. They recently remastered the Thing video game too. So, LucasArts is a treasure trove of old intellectual properties that I think Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know exist, and maybe we should leave it that way because they'll probably just screw them up. They used to do adventure games. Remember the Dig on PC?
I don't think so.
It was supposed to be a big like science fiction property. It was about I think it was about an archaeological expedition on an alien planet. It was an adventure game, and I was thinking they could just do that and do a movie out of that over at Lucasfilm, but they won't because they don't.
They don't even know what they have. That's the problem.
Maybe it's better that way until someone responsible gets in there. Well, if we want to go further back, all right, after 42 years, someone has finally worked a way to make a mini version of this 80s console. For the longest time, the mighty Vectrex was my retro console holy grail. Do you know what a Vectrex is?
I don't think so.
You don't remember the Vectrex? Okay, this was another competitor for Atari back in the day. I think what happened was they had a bunch of these monitors, this one company that they needed to sell, so they sold them to another company to make these game consoles out of. The game console came with the monitor. Do you understand? Attached to it.
Yeah.
Right. If you watch Charles in Charge, I think one of the dorky kids had a Vectrex. He was messing around with it in one scene.
Gotcha.
I think it was based around vector graphics instead of like pixels.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So. Let me go ahead and get into this. Okay, so for the longest time, I managed to get a hold of a Japanese model for a remarkably cheap price around 10 years ago with the 80s all-in-one arcade system will normally upset your bank account. That's in part thanks to its built-in CRT screen, but thanks to AMOLED technology, we're finally able to get mini versions. Flaunting itself at Gamescom, the Vectrex Mini currently exists as a prototype. However, the brand's new rights holders, Neo Retro, are showcasing the console's remake in all its glory, complete with tiny original controllers, overlays that simulate color. Yes, that was a thing. And the aforementioned AMOLED display. Yes, you can simply emulate Vectrex games, and there's even an FPGA core for the Analog Pocket if you're craving hardware accuracy. However, I can say firsthand that nothing punches quite the same as the original console's monochrome CRT screen, and its vector-based graphics feature a piercing localized brightness that's pretty hard to replicate. So what's changed? Well, the Vectrex Mini apparently uses AMOLED screen to blast those crispy vectors into your eyeballs. OLED panels have been aiming the best gaming monitors with enhanced local dimming and deeper blacks for a while now, and those perks are what will likely help the tiny homage system to pack a similar visual punch. So you don't know what a Vectrex is. This might have made more of a deal to you if you knew. These were.
Oh, that's okay. I mean,
this was a weird retro console. I don't even know what games were available on it. I never had one. But this was around the time of Atari and Coleco and all them. This was another competitor around that time. Except the thing was, it came with its own monitor. It was like a built-in monitor because that was the thing.
Right.
But if they're making a mini version of it, I'm curious. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't know. What do you think? Would you have one of these as a kid? The big monitor? You wanted Atari. That's right. They must.
Yeah, I probably would have passed on something like this because I wanted the ability to just buy more games for it and not be locked into whatever came with it.
Yeah, I have no idea too if you could buy cartridges for it. That's a good question. Did it come with games that you plugged into it, or the game's already on it and you couldn't buy cartridges? I'd like to think you could buy cartridges for it, but come to think of it, I don't know a lot about the Vectrex because this is this weird offshoot brand that I do know of because it was one of the competitors at the time, but it's just so weird. So I don't know. I might give this up. Troy, my sister had one, and I used to play in the only storage building with my cousin in the winter of John Carpenter The Thing. Never, and Geek Flag's never heard of it. I'm curious. Jessica Hardo, did it have a cartridge slot to put games into? I'll have to do research on this. But if you want a mini version of it for some nostalgia, they're working on it.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants the 80s back, it seems. All right, so let's move on to the next article, and this would be Call of Dude Bro. Okay, we're not showing the trailer. I just picked that picture because that looks like a scary woman, so I threw her on there. Okay. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 reportedly set to skip Nintendo Switch 2 at launch. Now, I bring this up, this isn't really a Nintendo article. This is more of a Activision Microsoft article, and I bring this up because for months we were covering Microsoft Xbox trying to acquire Activision.
True.
And making certain promises in front of courts about what would happen, because of course the fear was, oh, we're going to keep Call of Duty all to Xbox and we're not going to release anything else. Let's read the article. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 looks to skip the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch despite parent company Microsoft's binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms. They made a promise to do this.
Yep.
In 2023, as part of its push to get its Activision Blizzard acquisition cleared through the courts, Microsoft promised to release future Call of Duty games with full and content parity on Nintendo platforms the same day as on Xbox. Under the contract, Nintendo owners will be able to experience Call of Duty just as Xbox and PlayStation gamers enjoy Call of Duty, Microsoft said at the time. Call of Duty has not been available on Nintendo since 2013's Call of Duty Ghosts for Wii U. However, according to the reliable leaker, Billy Bill Kuhn, Black Ops 7 is slated for release on November 14th on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Now, Black Ops 7 may eventually launch on the Switch 2, but as it stands, it won't make Nintendo's new console alongside Xbox. So they lied.
Sounds like it.
But this is a legal agreement. They have to do this.
Well,
I'm not even saying that you should buy a Switch 2 or buy Call of Duty on the Switch 2. I'm just saying that they made an agreement that they would release these games alongside. And I'm sorry, the Switch 2, despite our preaching on this channel, has done very well sales-wise. So they don't even have that as an excuse that there's not a good user base for it. And it's powerful enough to run this Call of Duty game, because I know it's at least as powerful as an Xbox Series console. And I know it's more powerful probably than a PlayStation 4, so I don't see any reason why they can't bring this out on it. So, yeah. Wait, what Jessica Hardo says? We talking about Call of Duty still? I don't know. I've lost interest in Call of Duty for a few years now, though, but for a while it was like the first-person shooter. But yeah. Any thoughts?
nope.
Okay, I'll move on. Okay. I just thought this was a big deal because it seems like Microsoft lied. That's all. I'm just saying.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Yes, I agree.
Okay, and here we have Sony is raising the PlayStation 5 prices starting tomorrow. Sony is raising the price of all PlayStation 5 models by $50 in the U.S. in a big post announcing the change. Sony cited the challenging economic environment, which included the tariffs President Trump has placed on imported products. The changes will go into effect on Thursday, and the new prices are...
Sadly, there are people that actually believe this. You know, they're using these things as an excuse, but there are people that actually actively look for reasons to blame the current administration, and they're going to believe this.
They've had record profits this year. All the companies have, believe it or not, even Xbox. So I don't know why they're raising prices on 5-year-old consoles. This is the time when you actually start lowering prices. Do you know that at this time in the original PlayStation consoles, the original PlayStation that came out in North America, it came out at $199.99 back in the 90s. This time in that system's life cycle, you get it for $99.99 because it was a bestseller, and the best way to bring in new customers is let's lower the price. This will bring on more people. Let's release value games at $20 a pop, which I know they don't do anymore, but they could do $30 games. I mean, this is just... Sony says the retail price for PlayStation accessories remain unchanged. Well, they threw us that bone. They're not going to raise the price of their $70 controllers. In April, Sony raised the price of PlayStation 5 hardware in the UK, Europe, and Australia, New Zealand. And in May, the company said it was considering price hikes to cover the Trump administration's tariffs. Wow, they're really leaning in on that tariffs thing, aren't they?
Like I said, they're using it as an excuse. They've already decided they wanted to raise prices. They're just using this as an excuse. And
So I want to A2 Sony.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the next one. Do you like that picture? I had trouble getting the actual screenshots of the articles, but a new study shows that Gen Z is spending way less money on video games than older gamers. I assume that's a Gen Zer with his game setup.
That's the intent.
I don't know. Okay. Young people are so strapped for cash that even video games are getting too expensive for them. A June study by Circana, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, found that spending among 18 to 24-year-olds dropped 13% from January to April 2025 compared to last year. Video game purchases were hit particularly hard, falling nearly 25% according to Circana's a chart Circana's Matt Piscatello shared on Blue Sky. For context, Piscatello shared another chart comparing the drop in spending among Gen Z to spending changes in older generations. The differences is dramatic, where older generation spending dropped less than 5%, Gen Z's is plummeting. It's particularly surprising to see a sharp drop in spending on video games, which historically cater to young people. Video games spend among 18 to 24s is down sharply. Young grads are having a much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card delinquency rates have risen to their highest points since before the pandemic. That sounds awful. This is part of a larger trend that results from a perfect storm of harsh economic factors hitting Gen Z all at once, from a tough job market to student loans and rising prices. As Piscatello commented on Blue Sky, the rug's just not being pulled out from under young people. It's being burned while they're still standing on it. Rising prices in the game industry are likely only making matters worse. If young adults are having a hard time justifying gaming purchases already, $70 or $80 becoming the new norm for AAA games isn't going to help. Same applies to consoles and PC hardware getting more expensive. I'm looking at you, Switch 2. That doesn't mean young people still aren't gaming. As of March 2025, 20% of gamers are between 18 and 29 years old. Gen Z is still a huge part of the gaming community. They're just spending less money than older generations, possibly opting for more free-to-play games, buying less expensive indie games, and waiting for sales. Do you know what this reminds me of? Is this what they say the toy market is like now, with the older collectors now making up the bulk of the purchases rather than the kids?
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. We always, or at least I always talk about this show being stuff you're probably hearing on other channels, but I think we bring a different perspective. Here's my different perspective on this. They've found their new audience. Their new audience, however, is a bunch of lazy-ass kids that have no money, and so they can't afford to be customers. Period.
Well, we don't know that they're lazy.
These are kids that went to school to learn critical theory, to get education that wasn't going to make them any money, so that they could stay living at their parents' house playing games, and then cry about the fact that they have to pay back loans that they didn't think through how they were going to pay back. Because that's what a loan is.
That almost sounds like me, except for the loan part. Anyway, but I just paid for my first game in nearly 3 years, a 10-year-old Assassin's Creed game, Rogue. I can't really afford new consoles or new games. I'll say this: a few years ago, before the pandemic, you get a PlayStation 4 Slim for $300, $299.99, which I thought was a reasonable price. Now now we have these. We're almost getting double that now. There's no entry point anymore.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, the console manufacturers, I think, have forgotten that one of the reasons consoles became popular and were used is because PC gaming was kind of the expensive hobby back in the day.
Right.
You had to be able to afford it, not just to get a good PC, but also get a good graphics card, a good sound card. to be able to
But-
update your PC when you needed to. Consoles were a cheaper alternative to that. And typically consoles became their own thing. They were, console games and PC games. You'd get certain games on PC and certain games on consoles. And sometimes they would port them to either. But console game was really its own thing. It was supposed to be affordable and easy to use.
This is something I think that you've missed about the evolution of technology. And it's the kind of thing that you really could see. It was foreseeable. PCs, you're right, were very expensive back in the day, but they were generalizable. You could use them for word processing and for spreadsheets and all kinds of business purposes, school-related purposes, which of course is why my mom wanted me to have one, of course. And you also could use it for gaming. So there was a very steep upfront investment, but long-term savings compared to what you ended up with in the battle for the consoles.
I still live at my parents' house. I've been looking for a job for 2 years. Yeah, no, I know. A lot of people are, Samuel. Sorry.
Of course, I'm speaking in very general terms. You certainly may have a very different personal experience, but I am speaking in generalities.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that your average online purple-haired, septum pierced, modern woke feminist, ultra leftist Marxist that's complaining about their student loans, and you ask them, well, what did you major in? And they tell you, the first question is, how did you think you were going to make money with that education?
Gender
what was
studies.
your plan for paying back your loans?
Gender studies tends to come up a lot in those conversations.
Yeah,
right?
It really does.
Kids don't buy toys, never did. Adults buy toys for their kids, always did. Adults, when you've seen a kid walk in the store and buy toys. I used to, but that was back in the 80s. So maybe there's a different story now. Because what happened was I would get an allowance and I would save up the allowance. Now, granted, the allowance came from older people. Yes, my parents. Right. I would save my, $3 a week or maybe less even than that. And I would save up enough to buy an action figure. And then when my parents went to a store, I would go and buy it myself. But
right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Underwater basket refugees are just fine. See, there you go.
Yeah.
But I think you see this picture though, and that's what it makes you think of, right?
Right, exactly.
But no, I think too, though, Adrian, I meant to say I hate articles that say kids aren't buying toys. Okay, yes, that's fine. I was just thinking that's what this article reminded me of. But what do you think? What do you think of the industry, though? Do you think there's a way to get these people back, or do you think it's not even about that? I know you were saying something about that earlier.
Yes, there is. Start making better games to merit the prices you're charging for them, and start lowering the look. It's simple supply and demand. If people can't afford them, they're not going to buy them. So if you're not selling them, maybe you should start thinking about whether or not the price is you have your market priced right. It's really simple economics.
Haven't played a game console since 1987. Well, like I said, hopefully we'll be able to move on to covering more movies lately. But in fact, we are going to have some movie articles coming up soon. But yeah. I don't know what game console that was. The Atari 7800 Plus, which you can buy now. You can buy the Atari 7800.
Yeah.
Speaking of companies trying to get audiences back. See the crying Mickey Mouse there?
Yes.
Okay. Disney seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggles. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty aren't the only ones looking for a prince. Leadership of Walt Disney Studios have been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months. Multiple sources tell Variety for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way. Young men is defined here by sources as ages 13 to 28, aka Generation Z. First, every film studio is looking for better ways to convert younger audience into habitual moviegoers. Numerous studies shows that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who are hampered in their formative years by the pandemic lockdowns. Not the easiest segment to grasp, but what's surprising producers, writers, and other partners in the large industry is that Disney has been calling for original concepts to lure the demo back to the movies. This is the same Disney whose multi-billion-dollar content engines Marvel and Lucasfilm have sated men of all ages for almost 2 decades since the company acquired them. The sources say Disney has been seeking new IP pitches, such as splashy global adventures and treasure hunts, as well as seasonal fare-like films for the Halloween corridor. The calls come out as the Star Wars machine struggles to produce any film project, and the superhero genre sheds audiences by the minute. Okay, well, why don't we track back to the whole Star Wars thing?
Yep.
Why is the Star Wars machine have been failing to bring out any movies in recent years? All these
I was
going to
say this article is a bunch of crap, and it really is trying to stump for Disney, because the absolute reality is that they had at least 2, actually more, Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, and there was a lot of others, smaller ones within the Lucasfilm umbrella that were boys brands. And Iger specifically said he was buying them because they were boys brands, because he wanted to bring in the boys market. They cornered the girls with the princesses. We want to get the boys. So what did they do? They brought in the boys and then said, now let's turn it into a girls brand.
Yeah, they were very, especially after Endgame. I mean,
and this has nothing to do with the freaking pandemic anymore. You can't keep resting on the pandemic as your damn excuse anymore. That's ancient history.
No,
there are no lockdowns anymore. There is nothing keeping us from going to the theater except the fact that we don't want to see your movies and they're too damn expensive.
I seem to recall Gen Z went out in force to the Minecraft movie. Granted, they were destroying theaters in the process, but
that was a marketing. I'm not even going to say it was a snafu. I think you gotta. I don't know.
That label has been sorely lacking in guy-leading fare like the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise for nearly 10 years. Studio insiders say the property is in active development, though not as its last reported iteration involving Margot Robbie. To say nothing of the lackluster attempt to reboot and hand off Indiana Jones in 2023. What was it going to hand off to? It was older Harrison Ford in that.
Yeah.
Was he going to pass the torch to his son, who they...
Nope. I mean, because they desperately wanted to eliminate him from history and let Fleabag take over.
I mean, they could have just recast the son as another actor if they were still angry at Shia LaBeouf. He would have been older at that point anyway.
True.
Which earned $383 million worldwide and a $300 million budget for market cost. The Disney source says that movies for Gen Z men are part of an overall strategy across the labels, but no more urgent than any other quadrant. Greenbaum recently hired Darius Sirkik, a savvy former Paramount Pictures co-chief, to assist in this effort. Greenbaum is beloved by talent, but has largely existed in the prestige indie sphere, while Sirkik shepherded films from franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog, A Quiet Place, and Smile. Some think the push for this demographic is simply Greenbaum trying to put his stamp on live action, yet numerous power players who spoke with Variety see something ominous in the tea leaves. Well, if they want movies based on video games, and I don't want to upset anybody in the chat, but supposedly 20th Century Fox did have the rights to Mega Man. And they never made the movie, so technically Disney could make a Mega Man movie, I think. I guess the rights would pass to them, right?
Right.
Okay. If you want to make a game movie, and he's still a fairly well-known character. Maybe not quite up there with Sonic, but he's pretty up there. When the execution is correct, Disney's sweet spot at the movies has been millennials. That generation rapidly consumed classic vault titles like The Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, and Lilo and Stitch as kids. And now they're bringing their children droves to see live-action reboots. This year's billion-dollar gross of Lilo and Stitch over-indexed with men and boys. Disney previously said Gen Z is a different story. Built-in interest is not nearly guaranteed for such an audience, which propelled Warner Brothers' Minecraft movie to nearly billion-dollar haul. That was a game Gen Z played as very small kids, not to mention the euphoric viral moments it created for young men filming key moments inside multiplexes, sharing them on platforms like TikTok. See also Universal Pictures' Gentle Minions trend in 2022 when Gen Z bros packed theaters in suits and ties for Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Were they Were they any in theaters when you saw the last?
Netter and I went to see it in theaters, so for what that's worth.
I want to bring up when I was in this age bracket
Mm-hmm.
and how things are marketed at me. I remember a certain character called James Bond.
Right.
And James Bond had kind of gone dormant for a while. And what they did with James Bond, they did something smart. There was the movies, which were a big deal, but I knew it was going to be tied into a very big game on the Nintendo 64. So there was a lot of cross media. My
Right.
interest in that game spurred interest in me exploring the character James Bond. So I went to see the Pierce Brosnan movies, and I liked those enough that I went and watched the older Bond movies. But the thing is that this was a new Bond he was the same Bond, but it was a new actor,
I
new
know what you mean.
90s. They revamped it. Do you understand?
Right.
I don't think they revamped Indiana Jones at all with that last movie.
Not at all. They were looking to erase him, is what they were actually looking to do.
So Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed as much in quarterly earnings this month. Okay, sorry. The priority won't favor existing IP over original material. Calling this month saying his film group. Okay, Bob Iger said his film group won't favor existing IP over original material. The priority, Iger said, is to put out great movies.
Yeah, good luck with that. You haven't been able to do it since you took over, so don't know what your plan is there.
On the superhero movies, much has been written about the narrowing audience for superhero movies. The performance of Marvel's latest release, Fantastic Four First Steps, which aimed to launch yet another superhero franchise led by Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, failed to meet expectations. Someone over at Hollywood thought that Pedro Pascal
No.
throw him in
It
anything.
didn't fail to meet expectations. It was just the audience subverting the studio's expectations.
That's despite good reviews, a promising opening weekend, and the full attention of Marvel czar Kevin Feige. Star Wars has not produced a film in 7 years. Big screen adaptation of Disney at Mandalorian coming next year. One top film executive at Disney Rivals says every studio should be looking for originals as sequels and reboots continue to exhaust the culture, even if they're packing in moviegoers in the short term. I never thought I'd say this. The exec muses about the Magic Kingdom's boy troubles, despite its gem box of iconic intellectual property. But it looks like Disney is going to have to start trying.
You think?
This is Variety. Has Variety finally come to our thinking all these years later?
It sounds like they're in a situation where they can't ignore reality, but the fact is that they're still trying to carry the water for Disney to the best of their ability. They are very much skewing this as much as they possibly can to give cover to Iger. But the fact is, yes, Disney is in need of another boy brand, and all they're going to do is ruin that one too.
The rocks of concentrated evil from Time Bandits were mailed at some point to Disney. I think that's being too generous to Disney. I think they were already there. But
good point. Yeah,
we could have had a good Assassin's Creed movie, one of the few video game movies that actually had a potential movie, but no, it had to be crap. That was Lionsgate, I believe, that put out the Assassin's Creed movie. I think they had that. That was Michael Fassbender, wasn't that one? I hope Skydance doesn't sell Paramount or Star Trek to Disney. Well, speaking of Star Trek,
yeah,
it's a segue. Anything left to say on the Disney situation?
no.
I found this article. I almost don't even know what to say. You had the boy properties and you squandered them, and they think that the audience is just going to come because they went to the past stuff.
Unfortunately, the audience, as dim as I think the average person is, not paying attention to the things that we pay attention to, are not so oblivious that they don't see what's happening eventually. And the average audience has learned not to trust Disney anymore. Therefore, they are where they are now.
Where's my Joust movie? Don't joke.
Right.
It would star Jason Momoa for just reasons, right?
Right.
Scott Bakula eyeing Star Trek Return in President Archer series pitch from Enterprise
So
producer.
this is a follow-up to an article we brought you last week.
It's been 20 years since Captain Jonathan Archer and the crew of the NX-01 returned from space dock for the series finale of Star Trek Enterprise, wrapping up a 4-season run on UPN. It was the franchise's last network TV series. Since that time, series star Scott Bakula has kept busy, including starring in CBS procedural NCIS New Orleans for 7 seasons. But it turns out he has kept an eye on his time in space and kept in touch with veteran writer-producer Michael Sussman, whose Star Trek writing credits include 10 episodes of Voyager and 22 episodes of Enterprise, where he also served as a producer on more than 70 episodes. Ahead of his appearance on Trek Movies Does Canon Matter Anymore, and If So When panel on Saturday at the STLV's Trek to Vegas convention, Sussman spoke exclusively with Trek Movie about a series concept he has been developing with Scott Bakula over the last couple of years. Bakula himself will still be at STLV for the Sunday main stage panel and a rare convention appearance. According to Sussman, the idea of Bakula returning to the franchise began a few years ago while Star Trek Picard was streaming on at Paramount+. That show wrapped up in 2023 under showrunner Terry Matalas, himself a veteran of Star Trek Enterprise and friend of Sussman. At the time, in an email exchange with Bakula, Sussman first joked, "How soon are we going to see Star Trek Archer on Paramount+?" Then quickly realized he actually had an idea about some seeds planted 2 decades before Enterprise, and Bakula was intrigued. He immediately glommed onto it, Sussman tells Trek Movie. The seed was based on the last episode Sussman wrote for the franchise, In Mirror Darkly Part 2, from late in the show's 4th season. That episode was set in the Mirror Universe and featured Bakula playing Archer's Mirror Universe doppelganger, who at one point had access to a Starfleet database from the future on board the USS Defiant and looked up his Prime Universe counterpart in a graphic seen by viewers as well. According to Sussman, it occurred to me that someone in the writing staff, not the art department, needed to write this graphic. Someone needed to think about this, right? This was going to be a graphic that spelled out Archer's life and career after the series ended. Knowing the franchise was going into the freezer for a spell, Sussman outlined Archer's future, aware of the graphic might be fully visible on the finished episode, and therefore become Trek canon. In the end, it was, and it did. Did you know this?
Yes, I did. I've unfortunately I've looked at all of these okudograms, and I did this years ago. There's an okudogram though of the communications officer, Ensign Sato. Her story is very, very tragic. Her story ties into a story from the original series. Kirk's family survived a situation on one of Earth's colonies.
Yes.
where I don't remember who the dictator was. They end up finding him, during the span of the original series, but it turned out that he was this governor who had ordered the execution of half the colony so that the others would survive. And
did he get some kind of virus too? Is that what happened with him?
I don't remember.
Something make him insane, I think. Yeah.
It had something to do with starvation or something like that. And he was, he took these brutal measures to decide who lived and who died. And apparently Ensign Sato and her husband lived on that colony as well. And she sacrificed herself so that, certain other people could live, including Kirk.
Wow.
That would be canon if this would be considered canon. But honestly, okudograms, which is what these are called, okudograms, that goes back to the original series. These things that would come up on screens, in the background, that their canonicity was dubious at best.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It's
It's one of those things that, let's face it, they can make anything they want to be canon. They did it with the Klingon forehead thing. They took a fan theory from a role-playing game and said, that's canon now. Okay, you want to make it canon? It's canon. It's your property.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Netter brings up a great point from the Klingon language. The Klingon Language Institute, which is the keepers of the canon of the Klingon language, were basically Dr. Okuda, the linguist who came up with the Klingon language, made a point at one of the which is the big meetings of people learning the language. basically saying, we don't invent words. As the show demands us to create words, we create words. So, you can't just make up the name of a word, or you make up a word for something that, has never been mentioned in canon. Like, for example, you can't just make up, and say "I" is the word for armpit. And someone said, well, what is the word for armpit? And he looks around and he, shrugged and he goes, I don't know, "It." And it was a joke that ended up making its way into the lexicon of the Klingon language. So we now have the word for armpit is "it" in Klingon.
Funny.
And someone even brought that up to him at one of the kepas, and it's like, yeah, you taught us that armpit is "et." He goes, wait, when did that become a thing?
Yeah.
And they explain the story. And he goes,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
well,
there
okay,
you go.
I guess it's canon now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so sorry, got off on a little tangent about Star Trek canon, but I guess it's not that big of a tangent.
Star Trek United, is that going to be the name of the series? That's what they're titled.
That's the going title, which makes sense because it would be about the formation of
the United Federation of Planets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The show.
I'm all for that.
The show would revolve on Archer's time as president, with Susan likening it to the shows like The West Wing, Homeland, and The Diplomat. It's a political thriller and family drama set in those chaotic formative years of the Federation. Some of my favorite episodes of TNG and even Star Trek VI, when they were dealing with all the political stuff. Remember?
Yeah.
So I could see them doing a series on that. Sussman began outlawing ideas for this potential series, working with Bakula, who liked the idea of a different take on the character. We did 98 hours of Enterprise, and I think he felt he really explored that character, but this was a very different direction for Archer to go in, and I think he was really intrigued by that. Sussman and Bakula even had a title ready, Star Trek United, though they also considered dropping the colon and going with Star Trek United. Okay,
well, if they do that, that would very much come off as a... it would seem like a message to fans, let's reunite fandom. That's, I think, how it would be perceived.
I don't know that is the Star Trek fandom really divided?
Absolutely it is.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely it is. It's the whole problem that we currently have with Star Trek.
I didn't realize there were people who defend Kurtzman Trek at this point.
There are still plenty of people that do, because, and I consider them former normies who, think that anything that's got the Star Trek brand on it is sacrosanct and therefore good, and the average fan going, if it breaks with canon, it's not good. And I'm arguing for those that like Terry Matalas. Even that third season of Picard is just not good enough. It was set squarely within the canon of Kurtzman Trek, and if the rights go the way I have predicted they will, it's not going to stay canon. I'm sorry, folks.
What do you think about? And I always thought I just thought of this the other day. What was the ship Picard served on? The Stargazer?
The Stargazer, yeah.
What about a series about that and a young Picard officer on that ship?
So that would be brilliant.
Yes.
It would probably... Give me a second. Let me think about this. So Star Trek United would still be a bridge. It would still be a prequel to the original series. It would be a bridge between Enterprise and the original series. A show based on the Stargazer set between the original series and
Next Generation.
And Next Gen.
Because he wore one of those movie type uniforms. Remember when you did
exactly?
Flashback? He was in those.
And it would also give you the opportunity to reintroduce and maybe not focus on, but like a background acknowledgement of Captain Rachel Garrett in charge of the Enterprise C.
Yeah.
And just like the guys did when they were doing the modern Planet of the Apes, right, where they talk about the Icarus taking off and then disappearing. You could have a story set on the Stargazer and have some news footage come in about, the launch of the Enterprise C or whatever, and then a few episodes or a season later or whatever, how it just went missing.
You could do things on the Cardassians too.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah,
The
you could.
Federation had skirmishes with them that we never really got to see because they were talked about in the past. Even Picard had run into them on the Stargazer, he said, right?
And this is a very interesting way of doing prequels, because people always point out with prequels, we know what happens to these characters. Well, you could set something in that era, and you have all the what do you call them? The bullet points of what happens during that time. But if you create new characters on a completely different ship, no, you have no idea what happens to those characters. That's the way you do a prequel.
And we don't even know what happened with everybody else in the Stargazers. We just know Picard had to take over, I think, after... Did the captain get killed or something happened where he had to take command? Right. That was a big pivotal thing. So, you could do.
And what would be smart would be the lead up to that. We don't know. We know that's coming, but we don't know when and how.
Yeah.
And you do several seasons where you start to really like these characters leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then, holy crap, this is actually that story. And then after it's happened, it's like, well, now what?
I think it could be a thing, and I think it would be a way to it would almost be like a bridge between the TNG and the original Trek.
Absolutely.
You could do that, because you forget that Picard was a young cadet probably when Kirk was in his middle age, right? On that, yeah, and
That's true.
So the only Star Trek that would work at this point would be Enterprise C, but I don't want any more prequels. I get how you don't want prequels, and I typically want them to move forward too, but I did think that a Stargazer, or even just doing a movie series about the Stargazer.
Yeah.
Even if you could do like big budget movies, instead of trying to bring Kirk and company back like they always do.
Right.
And it's not Shatner.
That's the thing. You have to get away from the established characters. Let them be. Look,
and you can have an established character Picard as a young man. You can cast a new actor as him. Yes.
Look, Deep Space Nine did it. Voyager did it. Okay, it's time to do that. So yes, would it be a prequel? Yes, kind of, but only in terms of the timeline. You're setting something in a specific timeline, but with completely new characters. So you don't have the limitations you generally have with prequels like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be a thing.
Absolutely.
But we're getting back to United. They're hoping it would do for Star Trek what Andor did for Star Wars.
That's not a bad analogy, actually. Yeah.
So the writer-producer says he didn't present the complete formal series proposal, describing it more as a high-level overview, outlining the idea to the executives to see if they were interested in a full official presentation. According to Sussman, he was preparing for a follow-up pitch that would have included a pilot story, character arcs, and episodes. Sussman says the meeting went well with the executives liking the idea but wanting to think it over. Took a couple months for them to get back in touch, explained that they took the idea seriously and brought it to the higher levels of Paramount. A Star Trek series idea with Scott Bakula as the lead would certainly merit a discussion, as he has been a major star at the company, including those 7 seasons of NCIS New Orleans from 2014 to 2041. So he's still hot. I mean, he's still hot commodity over at CBS.
Yep.
So there's no reason they can't give him another show, and he seems game for it too. So,
yeah.
And I think I would check this out, even if I didn't watch too much Enterprise. And I think you could bring people who didn't watch Enterprise or people who did. And bring
here's the thing to keep in mind. This is another reason why this is kind of brilliant. This is jumping ahead of Enterprise, so they can fill in the blank if they choose to. But really, they are entering a completely new era, and you don't have to have watched Enterprise to have seen it. Just like you didn't need to have seen the original series to enjoy Next Generation, So
Star Trek West Wing.
Kind of.
Seems like writers know how to write for plot devices, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think? Promising? Fingers crossed?
I hope so. But again, I hope it happens under the Paramount, the new Skydance banner, and without a contract for Kurtzman. As long as this isn't another Kurtzman vehicle, could absolutely work, and I'd be very happy to see that.
What would this time period be in the Trek timeline, though, with him as president? What would be going on in the Federation?
So, depending on what year they set it in, it would be just before, during, or just after a war with the Romulans. It would be a war with the Romulans that involved us not even knowing who the Romulans were. This was fought. They would have to stage this as a space battle with an alien race that they've never encountered before, the Romulans, and we don't even know what they look like. They never establish visual communication with us.
If they fight them hand to hand, could they be wearing masks or something? I mean, I don't know how.
They would never have to be. It could be a war completely fought by spaceships.
What about the Remans? Would the Remans be involved?
If they were, yes, they totally could be, but they would be considered a slave race. And if they were on their ships, yeah, they'd be a bunch of slaves, which would give you the opportunity to do, storylines about slavery and, all of that, whatever.
They kind of did that with the Jem'Hadar already, though.
Yeah, you probably don't want to, but, the Remans were established as a servitor race. Remember, the Romulans are based on the Romans, right? So you've got to think through what the you would draw heavy inspiration from, the Roman society and history. So,
but what was it? I remember one episode of Deep Space Nine where they're all captured, and for sport, they were having one of the Jem'Hadar fight Worf, right, for fun.
Yeah.
And then one of the overseers or whatever finally tells because the Jem'Hadar is winning the fight with Worf, even though Worf keeps getting up and won't stand down. Even I think one of the Klingons tells, "Well, look, there's no dishonor in you standing down at this point. Just stand up." He says, "No." And he keeps getting back up.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, "Just kill him." And then the Jem'Hadar says, "I can only kill this Klingon, but I can't beat him." Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great line.
And then I think he got shot for insubordination for not killing Worf. Remember that? That was a thing.
Right.
Good stuff. I think they should
That's back when they wrote good stories, though. They don't seem to know how to do that anymore.
I think they should do a Star Trek Legacy, not with 7 of 9. New Enterprise crew with core casts are made up of descendants of various Enterprises. Be
careful. That has some very serious rights-related issues to it.
Really?
That is all that whole storyline is predicated on Kurtzman Trek. They would have to contract with Kurtzman in order to continue doing it.
But he's saying this would be a new legacy, not the one established by Kurtzman Trek. It would be a new one.
Well, yeah, but that's not how these kinds of rights-related things happen. For that to work, it has to relate to plot points that were already established under Kurtzman, and he would be able to lay claim to them, legally speaking. You can't it's not enough to say, well, but this is 7 of 9, not the same 7 of 9. It doesn't matter. They've already established that canon.
7 of 9 Junior. Best name ever. Karen Gillian's in the news.
Karen Gilliam, yeah. When you sent this to me, my first thought was to roll my eyes, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah,
Karen Gillian joins Henry Cavill in Highlander remake. Karen Gillian has joined the sword-swinging cast of Highlander, Amazon MGM's remake of the 1980s cult classic. Henry Cavill is leading the cast that includes Russell Crowe, Dave Bautista, and Marissa Abela. The action fantasy, which hails from Amazon MGM's United Artists banner, is being directed by Chad Stahelski and is slated for theatrical release. The original Highlander, released in 1986, starred Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod, a medieval Scottish Highlander who discovers he is an immortal warrior with the help of a swordsman named Ramirez, who comes from the planet Zeist, played by Sean.
Dude!
I threw that in there.
I knew you did.
I wanted you to think it was the person writing the article. Okay. Played by Sean Connery.
That would actually be funny, though, if someone did their research.
They had the AI write it for them, and they probably.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I can see that. Sure.
Highlander battles other mortals across the century, culminating in a modern battle, which, like the classic style, there can only be one. Okay, in the remake, Cavill will be playing McLeod, while Crowe is Ramirez. Russell Crowe's Ramirez. Batista is the savage warrior named the Kurgan, while industry actress Marissa Albella is also in a leading role. She might be the current love interest, because I'm thinking of Karen Gillian's. It says in the article, never mind. Gillian will play Heather, McLeod's mortal wife and the love of his life. Yes. That makes sense because I forgot he had a modern.
Having read the article, that was my thought. At first, I was like, "What? What are they bringing?" And then I thought, if they cast her as Heather,
well, she's supposed to be
then
Scottish.
My heart just kind of started to melt a little bit.
And isn't Heather Gillian Scottish also? So doesn't that make sense?
I don't know if she is or not, but if she absolutely could play.
Yeah, Scottish.
She always sounded Scottish.
Yeah, she always sounded Scottish to me. Of course, I don't always get all English accents, but Gillian may have a third franchise on her resume. The actress is best known for playing cybernetic alien Nebula in Marvel Studios.
That's not what she's best known for.
And she also starred in Sony's Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji The Next Level, with a third on the way. Oh, she's still in the Jumanji movies.
Crying out loud, she is best known as Amelia Pond from Doctor Who.
Well,
that's the big thing this article.
People have forgotten about Doctor Who now.
Well, good reason. I think.
She can now be seen on Neon's The Life of Chuck, based on the novel by Stephen King. The film premiered at Toronto International Film Festival, where it was honored with the People's Choice Award. So yeah, Karen Gillian looks like her career is going well, and I can totally see her as Heather. Don't you think? Yeah,
I can too. I think that's a brilliant casting. In fact, this is one of those examples where I think the casting is may actually even be better than the original. That's just a personal opinion, so you're free to disagree with me on that. But yeah, this could be really good. This is kind of Zardoz Ramirez's real name. Yeah, that would actually explain a lot, really. But yeah.
Troy, at this point, Highlander catchphrase may have better, but there can only be one, but there will be another movie. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully. See, you also have to keep in mind when it comes to Highlander, it was meant to be a one-off. When they threw together a sequel, because it did so well, relatively well, it did well because it was lightning in a bottle, cable, licensing, and all this kind of stuff. They threw together a sequel that absolutely did not work. So they went back to the well with the third movie and kind of sonicked it. They kind of said, let's rework this. And everything since then has been a hodgepodge. Let's make something else work. Let's make something else work. And to mixed results. If they're going to do this reboot, they should be thinking a whole series of movies in advance. If this does well, what would the sequel look like? And let's plan it out. 2, 3, 4 movies in advance. It could be really good, but it could also suck too, let's be honest. We'll see.
We'll see. Nicolas Cage in talks for True Detective Season 5.
Yeah, I don't... This one's outside my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about True Detective.
Okay, so I will explain to you what the concept of True Detective was supposed to be versus what it actually became. True Detective was supposed to be an idea HBO had. It would be like a 10-episode series, and it would be a mystery series. And then each year, a new producer, new writer would take over the show, have new cast, and do another 10-episode mystery series. The first one was the best. It had Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey in it as the two detectives. They were Southern detectives trying to solve a brutal killing that was going on there that may have had ties to the occult. Season 2. Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn. I like the cast, but I remember being on like episode 7 or something. Like, what are they trying to solve? Was there a murder? I couldn't remember. It was too weird. And the trouble with that was they maintained the same writer, and he said I wasn't prepared to do another season. I thought we were going to switch off each season. And then we got season 3 with Mahershala Ali and
Uh-huh.
Steven Dorff, and that was pretty good. That was a pretty good
Okay.
season. And I thought, in fact, one of the cool things about that season was, even though it didn't ultimately tie to the first season, it was revealed that the stuff that happened in the other True Detective show from season 1 took place in the same universe. But
Okay.
it ended up the thing they were trying to solve the murder didn't actually tie into that, even though you're starting to wonder if it was. And then season 4 apparently was atrocious. It had Jodie Foster in it. Took place in Alaska, so I think that would be a cool idea. An Alaska cop trying to solve a murder during the time where it's all dark in Alaska. That time of
Yeah.
year. But I heard it was a mess. From what I could tell, I didn't even bother watching it. So now we have season 5 in the works. Oscar winner Nicolas Cage is in talks to headline the upcoming 5th season of HBO's crime anthology series True Detective, which marks its return. See, the idea is this is going to be an anthology series, but instead of it being an anthology, each episode's an anthology. Each season would be the anthology. Do you understand? A new.
And I'm fine with that because,
yeah.
American Horror Story did the same thing.
Yeah, similar concept to that. Yes.
Yeah,
And
I'm good
yeah,
with that.
yeah.
Sure.
As Deadline revealed earlier this year, the new installment will be set in New York, in Jamaica Bay, per HBO's head of drama series and film, Francesca Orsi. Cage is in talks for the lead role of Henry Logan, a New York detective on the case at the center of the new season, of course, sources say. A representative for HBO declined comment. The actor has been circling the part for a while. It is unclear whether the deal will close. Another Oscar winner, Jodie Foster, also took a long time to make her deal for True Detective season 4, Night Country. Issa has a lot to say, not unlike she did with Night Country. I don't like the fact they have the same writer as Night Country on this. That doesn't give me hope for this season. Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson headlined the original installment of True Detective with Colin Farrell and Mahershala Ali as leads for season 2 and season 3, respectively. Yeah, I don't know, but I like Nick Cage, so I thought I'd bring this up. Until recently, Cage has been focused entirely on features in his acting career. True Detective would come on the heels of him headlining his first series, Prime Video's upcoming Spider Noir. I want to watch Spider Noir.
Yeah.
It's like the only Marvel-related anything that has kind of piqued my interest.
Well, especially because, again, it's one of those things that it is not directly tied to anything else that you have to have seen to understand or care about it.
The Spider-Man Noir series, apparently you'll be able to watch it in black and white or color. It'll give you the option. So that's kind of
funny, yeah. Kind of like Trouble Is Your Business by Tom Conkle, which is available here on YouTube. I believe both versions are.
They should have Tom Conkle star on Spider-Man Noir.
That would be good. I would enjoy that.
Question: that whole Noir Spider-Man, I think I read something somewhere that it has the worst death for an Uncle Ben of any Spider-Man mythos. Is that true?
I don't know anything about it. I don't know. Because I never saw Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay, but yeah, I didn't either. But apparently, this is a character from the comics, like there have been Spider-Noir comics. Is that right?
I'm sure that's true. Okay. But again, I never followed any of the multiversal stuff, even in the comics.
Okay. Neither Night Country wasn't originally a True Detective series. Oh, that's interesting. So they kind of shoehorned it as a True Detective show? That's interesting. Well, it's funny because there was another mystery show they had on HBO that were on. Why didn't they just make this a True Detective season? Because it was that.
Yeah.
That might have been the one with Kate Winslet, but oh well. Okay, well, moving on to I like seeing Nick Cage go nuts and things. I recommend y'all watch Mandy. You've not seen Mandy? I recommend Mandy. You want to see him go really nuts. Here we have an empty theater.
Yeah.
The summer box office is quickly turning south. Kryptonite is messing with summer box office. Heading into the start of the new season, hopes were running high that Hollywood would make a roaring comeback and be able to be best or at least match the $4 billion plus earned in 2023 at domestic box office, when the combination of Barbie and Oppenheimer turned into a cultural phenomenon. The 2025 May to August calendar was certainly promising on paper in terms of marquee tentpoles, led by James Gunn's Superman reboot, Jurassic World Rebirth, and the Fantastic Four First Steps. Only the Dinos overperformed. Is that a joke? In April and May were so strong that even while the month of June was down more than 12%, the full second quarter of the year was stunning 37% over the same frame in 2024, thanks to April's pre-summer offering of a Minecraft movie and the summer's first tentpole hit, Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch, which opened opposite Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Lilo and Paramount's MI fueled a record Memorial Day weekend, prompting year-over-year revenue to a momentary 25% spike that still held at a solid 60% gain the next month, thanks to 4th of July's Jurassic World Rebirth. From there on, a roller coaster ride ensued. By the end of August 15th to 17th weekend, year-over-year revenue was down 6% amid a slowdown on event titles. Worse, it lagged more than 11% compared to 2023. The late summer box office was counting on Fantastic Four to carry over into August in a major way. Instead, the Marvel movie quickly lost its groove. And whereas most have predicted the summer revenue would certainly catch up with 2023's $4 billion, that's now out of the question. ComScore is predicting roughly $3.75 billion plus, a 2% uptick from 2024, when late July tentpole Deadpool and Wolverine saved the late summer quarter by opening to $211 million on its way out, ranking in $1.33 billion globally. Pixar's Inside Out nearly cleared $1 billion. So it sounded like here the first half of the summer was doing all right, and then the second half kind of flubbed.
Yeah,
I'm putting too fine a point on it.
no, I think that's sounds like what they're saying. Yes.
All right, summer 2024 match will exceed 2024, but the margins are crazy thin. I am more shocked than anyone else that we're not getting a resoundingly surpassed the $4 billion collected in 2023, says ComScore's chief box office analyst Paul Dergenberg. Case in point, it took Barbenheimer to do that, I guess, for 2023. Case in point, while Warner Brothers' Superman has been considered a solid player, its major milestone is crossing the 600 million mark worldwide. Pre-pandemic, a marquee superhero pick could easily hit 1 billion. Apple Original Films' F1 the movie is likely getting ready to celebrate 600 million, a giant feat for a car racing pick. That was one of the few movies I saw this summer in the theater, and I really enjoyed it. You know why?
Mm-hmm. Why?
It was a race car movie with a bona fide star, Brad Pitt, and it was striving to be the best movie it could be about F1 racing.
Yeah.
It didn't say, oh, let's look at F1 racing and deconstruct it. Let's just make a good F1 racing movie. So
That's fair.
yeah. Or put it another way, this is the first summer in recent memory, except for the heart of the pandemic, when not one Hollywood movie crossed 600 million domestically, or 500 million for that matter. Where are the Avengers when you need Durgarabedian, though remains optimistic. The rebound in 2025 has been nothing short of miraculous, given the first quarter was down full 12% versus 2024. So what's the long and the short of this? They didn't do the numbers they expected it to do.
I think this is another not misplaced bemoaning of the fact that the entertainment industry has not bounced back from the COVID era, and it's not, at this point, it's not because of COVID. It's because they spent too much time dithering around during COVID, trying to push their streaming platforms, DEI woke bull crap that nobody was interested in. And so now nobody's going to the movies anymore. You had an industry that had a great deal of momentum, and you killed all of that momentum. People have moved to other things now.
So, Agent Boomer, there's a comic book movie, Primal War, and I'm looking forward to it. But is Primal War based on a superhero, or is that just based on some other property? Because I think the superhero thing is waning. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that I hate this whole concept of superhero fatigue, but they've been doing so poorly with their superheroes, really with everything, not just superheroes, that people are reticent to spend their money on. It's a gamble now. It's a gamble that I'm actually going to go to a movie and enjoy.
It used to be a gamble that it would be good and you'd
Right.
win, and now it's a gamble that, wow, this is not going to be nearly as good as what I used to watch.
Exactly
And
right.
I blame Marvel for that more than DC at this point, because I think
although
DC
DC does share the blame.
Well, DC had problems from the get-go.
True.
With its whole DCU. I mean, starting with, welcome Wilkie's Movies and Music.
Hey, Corey, good to see you.
But Primal War is dinos in Vietnam War. I would go see that. You have won me. You have sold me on that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Frankly, anything dinosaur related that's not Jurassic Park would be cool. And throwing in the Vietnam War. Yes, I will look into that. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Jaws is coming back to cinema. Well, that's the thing. People are going to see the old movies. They put the old Turtles movies in theaters this summer too.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. And I don't know. What did you think of this summer overall? Was there anything you were excited for coming out? I wanted to see Karate Kid Legends. I missed that. I waited too long. I
Well,
was actually
let
going
me
to try
put it
catching
this
that.
way.
But
I did not actually go see any movie in the theater this summer. So what does that tell you?
I saw a couple. I saw Mission Impossible Part 2 of Dead Reckoning.
Uh-huh.
I think they need to take a break from Mission Impossible for a little while, though.
There you go.
It wasn't bad though, but
Uh-huh.
I feel having to wait 2 years for that follow up. They really needed to run while the iron was hot with that. They needed to have gotten that out the next summer at the very latest, and they waited 2 years.
Yeah.
What else was and F1? I genuinely enjoy the F1 racing movie with Brad Pitt. Really good. I recommend it. In fact, it's weird. I find that racing movies in general tend to enjoy. I liked Ford versus Ferrari. That was a lot of fun. I mean, because I think when the filmmakers go to that and they make a movie of that, they're looking at the subject with respect. Whereas I feel with superheroes, they're like, what can I do to make this my own and not respect the source material? And that's the
Exactly.
problem.
It's there aren't enough Peter Jacksons out there that go, I am going to make this thing and I'm going to be as faithful as possible to the property, slovenly so. There's not enough people doing that. But those are the things that fans want to go and see. Those are the things that are rewarded. And people aren't just they want to see sword and sorcery and magic and and whatnot. No, that's not enough. They if they're going to see a property, they want to see that property, not your generic off-brand version of it.
Look at this. I saw F4 this year. Didn't plan on it, but because of some non-negative reviews, I did not dislike it. That could be on. Is that Fantastic Four you're referring to, or F1? I assume it's a Fantastic Four. I did not dislike it. They could put that on the box, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's.
Yeah, it's really getting to be that kind of a situation where the best you can say about it is, well, you won't hate it, or you might not hate it.
I think people are tired of the same old save the world or universe BS. Create a different story. If you watch a lot of those old Superman, Batman cartoons like I used to growing up, it's not always about saving the universe. Sometimes they knew how to do different types of stories in superhero universes.
Sometimes
I felt
just
Marvel, it's the end of the
building.
world all the time, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's and again, they started to do that. They implied that they were going to be doing that with the Netflix series, but of course they effed up all kinds of rights related thing. Again, that's the other thing. You always have these rights related situations going on in the background ruining things. So that's a whole other aspect that most people don't generally see. That really is the problem. But those stories, those what do they like to call them, street level superheroes? Why do people like those? Because the action is much simpler. It's not that the world is on the line, but it's character driven. And it's importantly so character driven.
Deleted scenes top 10 so far: Life of Chuck, Weapons, Black Bag, Warfare Sinners, Chihava, Havoc, Sketch, Dangerous Animals, Eden. And some of those were Netflix movies that weren't even in theaters, right?
Probably true.
All right, so... Okay, moving on to our last article of the night. This goes back... Wait, let me just reach for... Exactly. Try saving characters or a character with an arc. Yes, sometimes it's about saving one person, not the world,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. There are some great episodes of Batman the Animated Series that are just like that. Just what you
Yeah.
described.
Like one I was watching about him trying to stop Crime Alley from being blown up by a greedy industrialist
Right.
who didn't get the permit, so he was just going to set a fire and blow it up, and he was, it was about Batman stopping that from happening.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our final article of the night. This is James Gunn's backtracks on Jor-El and Superman digital release. What the heck is going on?
Well, I talked about this a little bit last week during one
Liquid
of my
lunch?
liquid
Yeah.
lunches. In advance of talking about it again on Doomcock's Pop Culture Breakdown. And actually, he has a video out. I don't like to toot my own horn, but he didn't know about this until I sent him the articles about it and my commentary in advance. So he was able to get that out before Pop Culture Breakdown. That we had all talked about one of the aspects that many of us really, really disliked about the James Gunn Superman was
Worst part of the movie, in my opinion, was this reveal. Yes.
definitely one of them for me, where it was revealed that ostensibly Jor-El, and they were going from the inspiration from was it All Star Superman or something like that? I can't remember which
No,
one
but
it
All Star
was.
Superman. I mean, I didn't read that whole comic, but I at least from the animated movie, I saw no. Jor-El was just it's the same old Jor-El. It's desperate Dune planet, desperate scientist.
I
And
don't
that's
remember
all it
which
did.
one it was, but one of the
It was one of them.
reboots
Yeah,
in the post in the New 52 era
great.
decided that it was going to make Jor-El this I don't know.
He's not General
Exactly.
Zod.
Yeah, that's what they were basically doing. They were basically making him in league with General Zod, because then they eventually made it so that he had found a way to survive. I think he put himself into the Phantom Zone or whatever, and then he comes back and he's all upset with Clark for not having taken totalitarian reign over the Earth, and he kidnaps Jonathan. Takes him into another pocket universe where he trains him, and ages him up and abuses him. And it's just all kinds of stupid, sick storylines, the kind that you've come to expect at this point from the writers of comic books. And anyway, that was the canon that it appeared that they were going for with this particular film as it was released. And the fan backlash was huge, because and people were dropping like memes and whatnot of Marlon Brando. They're great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show them the way, and blah blah blah. And it was very clear that this whole idea of sending your son to Earth with the mandate to take over the world, create a harem, populate the Earth, and make a new Krypton, and blah 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 blah, was not in keeping with what we had come to associate with the whole lore of Superman. So it looks as well. It doesn't look as though it's very clearly a retraction once this film has gone to digital.
So James Gunn may have backtracked on the Jor-El with the digital release of Superman movie, which will be available on Friday. Gunn, for whatever reason, changed things up for Jor-El and essentially made Superman's father into a Viltrumite. Yeah, it's an Invincible reference, I get it. A bad guy indeed. The movie makes it pretty clear the footage was legit, as Lex said it was in even Mr. Terrific. Then Gunn came out of a post-release interview and told fans they're something out of luck. Nice, right? From the head of a studio.
Right.
And yeah, as I mentioned, there was backlash. As I've gone over, no one liked the scene. Even Kevin Smith, who likes everything, didn't like Gunn did with
Yeah, it tends to
Jor-El.
cry about things too.
Okay, yeah, Gunn's Superman bombed did with Jor-El Gunn's Superman bombed internationally, while at Comic-Con, no one liked that scene. Also, I know Asians hated what Gunn did with the kaiju scene and how Gunn handled Jor-El. It sends the message that the families of immigrants are evil. They took it personally and felt insulted. Oh, that's interesting.
So that's an interesting take on it. So in other words, they can justify changing it by leaning into a perceived woke reason for doing it.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's like, oh, the home country, because James Gunn may have changed things to Jor-El. Eagle-eyed fans spot the following, which seems to reveal that the message was actually doctored by Lex. Daily Planet shows Luthor was behind false images of Superman's parents' messages, claiming that. So if this sticks, Gunn is making things right. Superman is now out on digital. I don't know. I think it's too little, too late. But
I also think that this is an example of this is a correction not only to appease fans, but also I think it makes a lot more sense in terms of the narrative, especially if your narrative, because they had that whole segment with the cybernetic monkeys, which was clearly a commentary on
internet trolls
and bots, stoking the fires of whatever online. I feel that something like this, manipulating media to convince you of whatever it is you're trying to push an agenda, that seems pretty topical too, especially in this age of AI manipulation of things. It makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense narratively than where he was originally going with this. And yeah, this is not James. I don't think this is James Gunn backtracking. I think this is the studio telling him this needs to happen. Yeah, we're giving you a lot of latitude, but not with this. This needs to get fixed.
Yeah, this is maybe they should have done that before the movie got released. Who was minding the store?
Well, again, it's people. My supposition on this is that the people doing this are the ones that don't know, that wouldn't have known in advance that this was a problem because they don't know the lore. And then when the fans begin reacting, they do, people don't like this, fix it, make it right. So one of the things I said on Pop Culture Breakdown was, generally I'm a death of the author type. I don't like what George Lucas has done with his special editions. I don't like the rewriting of the released versions of everything, really. However, I also saw what Doomcock was saying, because one of his catchphrases is, "Without respect, we reject." But he's also always said, on the other side of that, however, we also have to give grace when the companies repent. It can't be all stick. We also have to have a carrot too. And I also see this as being something like the Sonic the Hedgehog thing. The fans react, so, they correct it, and you got to give them their props when they do that.
Is the theatrical cut still available? That's a good question. Are they now?
Well, it's still in theaters, actually.
No, but are you going to be able to get that on digital or buy it, I guess, on DVD or Blu-ray? Or are they going to have this doctored version?
Don't know. But, again, what is actually doctored is very, very slight. It's huge, but it's easily overlooked because it's literally a little... the new, how you watch Fox News or whatever, or CNN, whatever, and they got a little ticker across the bottom. That's what this is. You're seeing a screen, and Maxwell Lord is making some commentary. It's actually very interesting, the commentary that's being made at the time. He's saying, "Hey, I guess we found something that both left and right can get behind," or something like that.
Lex Luthor sucks. Yes, okay. Everybody hates Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor sucks. Right, exactly. And then across the bottom, it's saying Lex Luthor doctored this message, blah blah blah, this and that. So,
I mean, I don't see it past him, but really from the way the movie was setting up, like, oh, Luther finally had something on him. That was the thing. To be fair, I like that Superman is not another chosen one destined to be a destined to be a Superman story. Yeah, but you can do that without doing this to Jor-El. I mean, I bring up
Exactly.
the original on the animated series. They did make it more down to earth. When he gets the message from his Kryptonian parents, they basically say, we love you, Jor-El. We've sent you to Earth, a planet similar to Krypton in many respects, and they said, but you will have powers and abilities that may make humans fear you. But whatever you do, do not use your powers in anger. And that's their message to him. And and he gets very upset and says, "You will have powers more than a normal human being." And he says, "I am a normal human being." He yells at them, but
Yeah.
it's just a message they left from. That's all it was. But they said, "We love you," and they were basically saying they were just giving him a warning. We know you're going to have powers here. Don't use them in anger. That it wasn't
Right.
like he's going to be destined to be a deity or start a harem or anything like that or anything.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Calling it good night. Sleep tight. Well, sleep well, use RNG. Thank you for listening. We're about ready to wrap up things here too. I don't know. All I know is this whole gun Superman thing is giving me a headache, and I still don't know where things are going to go from here. I like the actor they cast as Superman. I thought he did a good job, but there are other aspects of the movie I just didn't like as well. So, but
I understand.
Yeah.
I also like the chemistry that he has with the gal playing Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, maybe they have a little bit too much chemistry,
Really?
behind the scenes. That's a whole topic for another day, I think.
Oh no.
Yeah, this whole thing it has its blessings and curses.
I'm just not looking good to the gunverse in general, though, because I don't know what happens from here.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, that wraps it up. Yeah, that's it. That's it for tonight. That's it for the Geek News this week.
But don't go anywhere. I'm going to be sending you over to, at least here on my channel, I'm sending you over to Deleted Scenes for a new show that he's got coming up tonight. He's not doing his reserved seats. He's doing a show called The Perfect Album Side, which I find very intriguing. So we're going to go over there and try to support him in that.
And if I can get it set up quick enough, I'll redirect you as well.
Yeah, Netter's going to go ahead and get her side.
What's the name of the show?
Perfect Album Side.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just go to his channel, you'll see it.
I can never find anything. I have to do it a different way.
All right. Why don't you talk us through what's coming up, Boomer, while I get the thing for her, because I got to do that now.
Okay, so also on Monday there will be last call channels Monday night at the movies, and I'm sure there will be a poll up for.
No, I didn't get a poll up this week. I've got to. I'm just going to have to make an executive decision this week, members. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm sure he'll pick a good one. And I'm sure it'll have Eddie Deason in it. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know why that popped out in my head. Anyway, moving on to Tuesday, Spark with 21. We will be doing a running commentary and watching the episode Who Killed Mr. Burns? 2-part finale from The Simpsons. As part of shows that might have had some Twin Peaks influence in them. And The Simpsons is no stranger to that.
I haven't mentioned this to Deleted, but I've got a couple of other things that I might want to try squeezing in there in addition. It's up to him if he wants me to do that. We'll talk offline before then. So
cool.
Join us for Who Killed Mr. Burns on Live from Sparkwood 21 and maybe some additional features.
Then coming up after that will be another rewatch of Blake 7. And I'm sure that'll be a good one too.
Yep, the episode is called Star Drive. The heroes are trapped in their base with a ship that has a faulty star drive, so they can't take off. But the best option for a replacement star drive is in the hands of a rival team. So it'll be very interesting.
I thought you were going to say Spore Drive.
No spore drive.
Okay, thank
The
goodness.
mycelial network. The mycelial network.
There you
I thought I
go.
was going to say Serverline had it.
Okay, moving on to Wednesday. I don't know if anything's going on. I know
don't
sometimes
think
you can
so.
spot Troy over on Doomcock's channel for a live stream with other guests. But if not this week, then another time. And then Thursday, we have
Thursday before anything else, I will be over on I'm forgetting which channel it is. I'm guesting on another channel, and I will have that up on my community tab.
you were on Charlotte Knights or the Werewolf recently.
I was just
with them?
just yesterday. That was
Yeah.
really wonderful.
We got to be her guest on her debut new talk show that she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of
So
fun.
make sure that you're subscribed to her as well.
Cool.
And then later in the evening, Thursday at 9 Central, Netter.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to stop talking.
Yeah.
My special guest will be Wilkie's Movies and Music. Take two.
Take two,
Part
yes.
deux.
Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah, not last week, but the week before, he was supposed to be on and had an emergency and just jumped in for about a half hour there, but he will be hopefully on time this Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully nothing else happens. I just felt so bad for him.
And then Friday, we will
I believe that there is a Films with Friends with Big Al, but I don't remember which one it is. If anyone knows, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But it will then be followed by a Last Call with Troy Pacelli and Agent Boomer and Netter on my channel at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. We haven't talked about a topic yet, have we?
No,
I don't
but
believe so.
we will come up with a good one. We always do.
There'll be something.
It is always something special on Last Call. Be sure to check it out.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
And that brings us around to Saturday. Netter's Network Retro Cinema, where we will be watching
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures with Kevin Costner, was it?
Kevin Costner.
With Kevin
yeah.
Costner. Yes, one of those historically based dramas that I love so much.
It's a good one.
Neither Netter nor myself have actually seen yet. Actually, neither has I know Agent Boomer has. Neither has Big Al.
Good
but
movie.
we've all seen clips of it. We've
Yeah.
all seen clips of it on social media. We've been
Yeah,
wanting
I've
to see
seen
it.
like 5 or 6 different clips.
She's probably
and-
seen like half the movie at this point.
And it's just got me like totally what's the word?
Enthralled.
Yeah, that's a good word.
There you
It's
go.
like I'm intrigued. I want to know more.
Yeah,
You've
true
got
story.
these women that
It's-
are super smart with mathematics.
It's a
which I'm
funny.
not.
It's another one of those funny things where it's like I know the real history of it. Kind of like that's why I guess I haven't gotten around to watching Oppenheimer yet. It's like I know the story. I'll get around to seeing the movie eventually. But anyway.
But I mean, just the fact that these women are like super geniuses with mathematics. I am not. I'm nowhere near. I still use a calculator for basic math sometimes.
Well, Samuel Proctor says there's lots of politics surrounding Hidden Figures when it came out. I'm skeptical of it. I'll see it, and I will give you my, amateur
Judge it for
historical
yourself, yeah.
evaluation. Yeah, because like I said, I know the history.
So
as I was saying, it's like how they were able to overcome a lot of diversity in order to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I enjoyed the picture myself, but yeah.
Good.
But yeah, of course, the left used it for their own purposes, but it doesn't necessarily mean the movie is
Exactly.
not accurate. So you
So,
judge for
Crocodile Hunter Collision Course is the Friday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern on Big Al Presents. That's the film. Thank you. Deleted
Interesting.
scenes.
That might give me an idea for the Friday stream. We'll see. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But I think that about wraps it up for Geeky Geezers. Be sure maybe they'll bring us back this Sunday. There may be an unscripted with deleted scenes on his channel. You can check out before the stream. And until then, enjoy yourselves. If you own a PlayStation 4 or 5, go check out those Resident Evil classic games. You won't regret it. There's nothing like zombies slowly walking after you, especially when they're on the floor and you're like, is that alive or dead? And then you go near it, and then it grabs your leg, and it's like, no! And then whoever you're playing as kicks his head across the...
I was going to say, if you find a corpse in a game like that, best to stomp up and down on its head just to be sure. You
only have so many abilities. What you can do is you can either empty your gun into it, or I use the hunting knife, and I sometimes stab down to see if what happens.
Yeah, always do the thing that doesn't use up ammunition.
Yeah, you have to conserve ammunition in Resident Evil, so I would use the knife, but the knife's only so good. You know what I mean? So it's good for stuff like that. When they're on the ground, you can do a quick jab and see what happens. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But y'all
wait, Tree Rock says there's a nudity scene in Oppenheimer. Okay, well now I'm going to have to see it.
Florence Pugh.
Okay. And I don't know who that is. And thank you Booger. Absolutely welcome for what we do. And so yeah, stay tuned for Deleted and his Perfect Album side. And then tomorrow afternoon, noon Central, Liquid Lunch.
Yeah, every day of the week at 1 o'clock Eastern, and then 12 Central, right? Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Have a good week.
Take care. Bye-bye.